Ladies and gentlemen, we are now gathered to induct the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame is arguably maybe the most important backyard and underground wrestling Hall of Famer in Sportswire Radio history. Because when you think about what this man has done, he is figuratively and literally the greatest traveling backyard and underground wrestler in history. In history, think about what this man has done. We're going to talk about the current. We're going to talk about what he's done from some companies that have recognized him in the main event. I'll save that for later on, but today in this speech, for the first half of the show, is to celebrate this man. And let's do that for a few minutes because let's fact that this man has wrestled in 25 companies, including the likes of, I don't know, MEBW. How about ESW? Everybody knows that company. Even a company, well, that I even own a portion of in the Pride Wrestling Federation, where he was once upon a time the uprising champion, and he actually defeated his now boss in ROEW, who's now forced to put the company shirt on because, after all, he didn't want me to see that shirt from Shelbyville, wink, wink, from last night's show. Our new boss in ROEW wanted me to put on this shirt to obviously honor his company that he owns. But the facts are, even that company, our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, wrestled in, but also wrestled in that other company that I consider to be the mothership of the backyard and the underground, where true passion speaks, in Tennessee backyard wrestling. And sure did he make quite an impact. I mean, the Nature Boy Gage Flair, woo! Certainly felt that with that Delta driver still talking around the world. I mean, everybody's still talking about that Delta driver around the world that Jack Delta gave to Gage Flair, and Gage Flair might even be still feeling that over a year later, just about. And obviously some other promotions, and especially his own promotion, which I'd like to give a little bit more from attention to, and that's ROEW. ROEW, think about where this company restarted, and think about where our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame had started with them, because he basically was wrestling on a mat with them when they were just restarting with some guy that used to own ROEW, but now has a bald head and looks totally different. And now ROEW is rated, 7 stars from Copper Dragon. As a matter of fact, everybody calls CJ Black the good guy, Mr. 7-star superstar, but shouldn't we call Jack Delta the 7-star superstar? Because doesn't it take 2 to tango? But after all, Jack Delta's got more accomplishments than people maybe have in a lifetime, maybe pro wrestlers have in a lifetime. So I don't know if I should get carried away, but I am going to get carried away tonight, especially with this speech and especially what I have to say about this man, because there is no denying the fact. When you think about Mount Rushmore and the backyard and underground wrestling, you can certainly throw a who's who of names in there. Division Nick, he wrestled him. The Executioner, only 11,000 views on YouTube. He wrestled him. And how about some other names? James Taylor. I mean, Mr. Taylor may think he's on the Mount Rushmore. I don't know if Mr. Delta does, but after all, James Taylor does have 19,000 followers. I'm sure he'll correct me because, after all, we are talking about his company tonight. Then there's another man that was here, and it was an iconic moment. And I go back to that moment in time last year in Tennessee backyard wrestling, when, for my money, the 2 greatest backyard wrestling draws in our history, in the backyard and the underground, when the Shade, the Anarchy King, Mr. Anarchy himself, Mr. Anniversary, Mr. TBW, 700 plus days wasn't pinned, 500 days as the undisputed champion, the United States champion, the Tennessee State Classic winner, Triple Crown winner. And we saw a moment in time that was, to me, in many ways similar to what a moment we should have had between Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin in their primes. Even though we never got that match, we still got that moment in time between the Shade and the now outsider, Jack Delta. But as an ode to Mr. Shade, and what a moment it was, and maybe the greatest moment in the history of Sportswire Radio, and Maybe this has been the greatest 3 days in backyard and underground wrestling history. Oh boy, I'm certainly going to, I'm sure, fire more shots about that. But it's a moment that maybe, in a way, has passed the torch tonight. We were living in the anarchy era, but it looks like maybe now we're going to be living in the outside era because, after all, didn't Mr. Shade run supreme, and he ran roughshod not only over TBW, but all over the yard and the underground for nearly 2 years. And it looks like maybe we're going to live in the outsider era with Jack Delta. And we got that moment in time, ladies and gentlemen. But we've also gotten many moments from the now outsider Jack Delta. I'm still trying to get used to calling you the outsider Jack Delta, but I am trying a career in stand-up comedy because at this point, I'm sure some promoter would like to cancel me on here. But there's a lot I like to say in only a short amount of time. But when I think about what Jack Delta has done, people can say whatever they want. He stays in places and doesn't stay there very long. And he wins championships, but what do they mean? Who has he faced and who hasn't he faced? But the way I see it, in my opinion, as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportzwire Radio, which you have made figuratively and literally, all wrestling matters, as your voice of all wrestling, the Reverend Tom Bryce, what Jack Delta has done, he has opened doors for so many people in the yard and the underground. He has blazed a trail. In many ways, he is our Michael Jordan. In many ways, he is our Tom Brady. In many ways, he is our Wayne Gretzky. In many ways, he is our Mike Tyson. In many ways, he's our Muhammad Ali. And in many ways, maybe he is our Stone Cold Steve Austin because of everything he did in terms of drawing, opening doors, and taking places that may not have worked with one another. But he built a community. Jack Delta has talked about in different companies he's worked for. He's talked about this in different interviews. He's talked about a community. He's talked about the backyard and the underground wrestling community. People have said different things about Jack Delta over the years. People on this platform have said different things about Jack Delta. But there's no denying the fact that what Jack Delta has done is that he has made the backyard and the underground wrestling community a community where all people were bonded by this man and this man's journeys. There is no denying that nearly every single promotion that has come on my platform, whether it's those that are on the trampoline, those that might be wrestling on 7th grade gym mats somewhere in an open field and might call themselves a promotion, but maybe should go to training, and even to those like Tennessee Backyard Wrestling and certainly the IMF, which has kind of made their own trail that they've blazed, quote unquote. Maybe I'll get to a blaze later on. But the facts are is that any promotion you can take from little to small, they've all talked about Jack Delta, wanting Jack Delta to be in their company. There is not a single wrestler that has ever wrestled in the backyard and the underground that has had that name mentioned and that household name. In many ways, Jack Delta is our Coca-Cola and our Pepsi of the backyard and the underground wrestling scene. At the end of the day, he'll stand the test of time. At the end of the day, Jack Delta is that one person that everybody knows. Even if you've only watched 1, 2, maybe 3 backyard and underground wrestling matches, or maybe you've heard about backyard and underground wrestling through this platform. I can't honestly say that I've walked in Jack Delta's shoes or even Ledger Shade's shoes. But what I have learned over the past year and a half in covering backyard and underground wrestling, even though I have a background in covering British independent wrestling, which I think in many ways I see a lot of similarities. But what I've learned is that Jack Delta has done something that no person will ever match, even though there'll be one person tonight that just joined the Hall of Fame that might certainly have a conversation about that. But the facts are is that Jack Delta has done things for the greater good of this sport. He has been that definition of all wrestling matters. He has been that definition of together we win, because in his own way, whether he knew it or not, when he was going state to state, promotion to promotion, whether he was there for 1 match, 5 matches, 12 matches, or hopefully in his home promotion in the great state of Michigan, ROEW, he did something that will more than likely be far more greater than wins, losses, and how many championships. It was 28 of them that Mr. Delta won, and certainly 28's a lot, although Jake Matthews has him beat still, but Jack Delta's also been in 10 states and 25 companies, so I think you can basically, eat that and kind of shove it, but I'll let Jake Matthews talk about that on another show. But the point is that Jack Delta has gone out there and given his life. In the words of Hillbilly Tilly, true yarders do it for the love of this sport. Jack Delta has done that. And he's also given his blood, sweat, and tears. I find not one professional or independent wrestler can have walked the journey that Jack Delta has. Jack Delta didn't do this for money. Jack Delta didn't do this for fame. Jack Delta didn't do this for championships, despite what some might have said on this platform, or even some promoters might have said. But what Jack Delta did was he went out there and learned. He went out there, observed. He used the knowledge that he gained from other places to try to help other promotions, some smaller ones, some bigger ones. And what he did was he took something and gave on his knowledge to help others. I truly believe in life, from what I've learned, is that it's not so much in what you do and who wins and who loses. It's, did you make the world around you a better place? Jack Delta did those things because he was in our streets, he was in our communities, and he made a difference. As a man and myself that grew up in the streets of Brooklyn, New York, and saw every day growing up what it was like to try to struggle just to get by, just to make it today, just to be safe on the streets, just to have a better life, and to make those around me proud. It was going to EBW, MEBW, whether it was even VTW, I'll get to them later. XCW, I'll save the powder in the keg later on for that. But certainly his home promotion, ROEW, where he's taken a company that was actually once upon a time a part of a backyard wrestling nexus. But no, not a shot toward them, because actually they're doing a very noble thing. And I really respect what the backyard wrestling nexus is doing. As a matter of fact, Jack Delta is actually a part of their Hall of Fame. So in many ways, Jack Delta is a multiple-time Hall of Famer after eventually I speak. And Mr. Delta, I'm going to continue to speak because you deserve this speech. You deserve this moment. I know you obviously have a new look, a new character, and a new attitude, and a new shiny belt, but this is your moment, and I want this to be an important and impactful one, because the facts are, is at the end of the day, people come and go. Championships come and go. Promoters come and go. Even what we do here in this platform may come and go. But there's no denying the fact that some kid out there all around the world, for an example, Ace Reed of the Wired Up podcast from all the way in Australia, he was inspired by you. He was inspired by the likes of Ledger Shade. He was inspired by the likes of Aaron Blaze. Oh, I'm going to get to him later on. And that's your impact, Jack Delta. You have a fan base like no other. Maybe the Shade could maybe have a debate with you on that. Maybe I'd like to see that one day, but I'll save that for later on. But the point is, you have something that's very special. People can go look on YouTube and see hundreds upon hundreds of matches of you. They can see you through the years, but also through different places. And I think, to me, that speaks volumes of your character. I judge people in life by how they treat others and how they benefited themselves. There is no doubt that, Jack Delta, you were the greatest traveling backyard wrestler of all time. But I'd also point that your greatest, whatever feat you do in this sport of wrestling, whatever it might be, whatever the chapter is written on you, your greatest gift was that who you were outside the ring. Your greatest gift was the advice and the knowledge that you gave to those that worked with you and learned from you. There is no doubt that almost every wrestler aspires to work with you and aspires to be with you. How about the moveset, the Delta Driver, the Rainmaker? I mean, JBL would even certainly be proud of that Rainmaker, and even some of the other stuff you've done recently in the ring. For your size and strength, there is very few people that move like you. I'll certainly say it once again, the Shade, just because, well, I'm still kind of pinching myself. And the last 3 days have been certainly like that here on Sportswire. I'm still trying to get used to the hair. Maybe I'll ask you about that later on. But the truth is that your moveset for what you do in the ring is very unique for your size. You've wrestled a style that in many ways, many people try to emulate. There's many people that say, I'd like to be like Jack Delta. But there's only one Jack Delta. And that's why, to me, it is my absolute honor to induct you in the Hall of Fame. I can go on and on and on about now the outsider, Jack Delta. Oh, and tonight I will be going on and on and on about Jack Delta, kind of like the Energizer Bunny, considering that I'm basically going a grand total of... And I just walked the streets of Brooklyn for, well, most of the afternoon and evening, but nothing would stop, come hell or high water, Jack Delta to not be in the Sportswire Hall of Fame. And I also want to give a big shout out actually to somebody that Jack Delta has actually done a lot with in the wrestling business that many people wouldn't know of. And that's a guy, James Fury. If you go back and look at some of the footage that Jack Delta has had, James Fury is a big part of that. James Fury is a big part of the trail that Jack Delta has blazed, you might say. James Fury has even helped with some of the videos you have seen from the outsider, Jack Delta. Maybe, ladies and gentlemen, you might say there's only one Jack Delta, but there's also only one James Fury who's helped Jack Delta become the person that he has. Jack Delta has certainly had to have learned from somebody. He's certainly had quite a history. He's had quite a legacy, but he also learned from those around him that made him better. And I hope that people take away from Jack Delta is the fact that Jack Delta was somebody that actually, when it came to the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, he's somebody that his impact, in fact, he had such an impact here. He even left and was like, you know what? I think I've had enough of Tom speaking with me.
No, I don't know what that was.
I'll get to the intro in a second. I'll get to obviously formally giving you a couple of proclamations tonight that I would be sure even the shade might have a thing or two to say on. But the point is that Jack Delta has given his life to this sport. Every single day, a backyard and underground wrestler goes out there and doesn't know what will happen, doesn't know what could happen next. They go out there and sign their lives away potentially, and accidents do happen out there. Backyard and underground wrestlers don't get the recognition that they deserve. I've made it my mission each and every day to personally take on the mission of recognizing the backyard and the underground wrestling community. Figuratively and literally, all wrestling matters means to me so much that we even have a championship dedicated to that. And Jack Delta is in many ways a huge part of that, because Jack Delta, ladies and gentlemen, 1 year ago came on this platform. I can certainly owe a lot to Ledger Shade. I can certainly owe a lot to many people that have come on this platform. James Taylor, yes, he's the ROEW owner. Yes, I'm going to mention him. I could certainly even owe a lot of great gratitude to the likes of Omen Black and Soldier GP, Anthony Steele. I'll save that for later, another day. I can go on and on about a list of great other people that have been here in the yard and the underground. But it was Jack Delta who gave me credibility in the backyard and the underground by coming onto this platform and sharing his story and sharing his journey. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, I can honestly say that maybe there wouldn't be a Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame to the magnitude of what it is if it wasn't for Jack Delta and everything he did by giving this platform an opportunity. And I like to say, Mr. Delta, before I do formally introduce you, and I also want to let you know this is officially the longest speech for any Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame ceremony. So I can assure you, CJ Black didn't even get this long of a speech, and James Taylor didn't even get this long of a speech. And somewhere those two individuals might certainly be wanting to really fire shots at me. And speaking of that, I'm sure that I'll get the message as we speak. But the truth is, as I stated, you have certainly done so much. I don't think I can do you justice in one evening. I don't think I can do you justice for one Hall of Fame. Spoiler alert, stay tuned for that. But the point is that you gave this platform credibility. You gave this Hall of Fame credibility. And that's why we're here. And that's why Sportswire Radio has become the place to be in the backyard and the underground. As I stated, I can go on and on and on about the legacy of the outsider, Jack Delta. But I think now it's time to give Jack Delta that Hall of Fame-like introduction that so many people have gotten. So many people, even in ROEW, have gotten. Like, well, the good guy CJ Black, and even Copper Dragon, the man that rated, well, Mr. Delta's match, half the match, because Mr. Delta was in the match, and there wouldn't be a 7-star superstar CJ Black without Jack Delta. And oh, by the way, even that 100,000 view Delta driver on Tennessee Backyard Wrestling's TikTok page of Gage Flair, I might be wanting to mention that, because Mr. Titan, I know, is certainly watching out here. He is certainly listening to this, because after all, he's the one that said, can you mention me in my speech for Mr. Delta? And I said, of course. But the reason I did mention Mr. Titan is also because Mr. Titan has meant a lot to Mr. Delta, and conversely, Mr. Delta means a lot to Mr. Titan. But also, Tennessee Backyard Wrestling did right with the legacy of Jack Delta by at least honoring it, just like ROEW does. And now officially, Sportswire Radio will permanently do so. But before you get, as I said, that Hall of Fame-like introduction that so many of your peers, so many of your rivals, so many of your opponents, maybe even a few of your colleagues, and even your boss in ROEW, maybe your former boss in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, and even in XCW, I have to give you that introduction because I've been waiting really, honestly, for just about 5.5 months to give you that introduction. Actually, since I started the Hall of Fame, I wish you would have been number 1, but you're here and you're number 74, which is actually a pretty monumental number because in Major League Baseball, the quote-unquote home run record is 73 home runs held by Barry Lamar Bonds. But you, Jack Delta, have broke the Hall of Fame record, quote-unquote, then, because you are number 74. And I want to give you now an introduction because we are 20 minutes in already, and people are like, Tom, please get off the air already. You talk too much. Even James Taylor last night was like, Tom, can I please talk? I can't get a word in with you. So we're going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honor to introduce the 74th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, our 4th member of our 8th class, the ROEW heavyweight champion of the world and the greatest traveling backyard wrestler of all time, Jack Delta, who belongs in the main event, and he will be now permanently. But now, Mr. Delta, I'm going to give you that introduction that I've been waiting for, and so is the world. So with that, wait for it. Further ado, here on the Sports Report. Number 1. One over the road sports show. The newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. The greatest traveling backyard and underground wrestler of all time. The ROEW heavyweight champion of the world. His name is the Outsider, Jack Delta. Congratulations, my friend. You're the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much, Tom. Every single time you go to do your intro, I get so concerned that you're going to pass out from lack of breath.
Actually, Taylor said off the air, you worry about your kidney stones. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe I should. Actually, it was funny today. I was actually thinking about that for the first time. And it was like, I think I said on Ledger's show, when he was here, Mr. Ledger, obviously a man you sort of have a history with. I was like, am I going to blow up like a helium balloon? That was kind of my first one.
Oh, because you don't recognize it because you don't see yourself, but you get so red after it. And it's like,
I know that. No, I can feel it. Trust me. I actually did a show. We had one of the British promoters in CCW for Coming Out Championship Wrestling, Taylor Truths. This was 3 months ago. I was on the air. I did the intro and I went like this. And it was like, oh, am I going to have a heart attack or am I going to lose my voice? And he laughed and I was able to do the interview. But that's here nor there. Jack Delta, welcome home. Welcome home to where you belong on Sportswire Radio. And it is so good to see you. And I know there's so much to talk about. You don't come here often, but when you come here, it's special. In many ways, it's as special as when Ledger Shade was here. And it was a once-in-a-lifetime moment. When you were here, it is always a once-in-a-lifetime moment. But I want to there's so much I know to unpack, but I want to, as I always do here in a Hall of Fame-like show, and I know there's so many people watching, they want to hear you, so I'm going to start off nice and easy. For those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, where now all wrestling matters, Jack Delta, what does it mean to you now to be a member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame?
It's beautiful, honestly. I love the Sportswire Hall of Fame, not because it's a title that you can sit there and wear around your waist. I view it more as a recognition of being a part of the community. And that's something that, like, so many people are sorely lacking nowadays. And I feel like you in this platform, and regardless of all the bickering and opinions that people have of each other in the comments sections, in the chats, on social media, everywhere, we're all a part of the same thing. And, you know, I do it sometimes. I get too into it. I make fun of people. I do the same thing. But I haven't felt this sense of community and people talking to each other and all this crossover stuff since my main company shut down, MEBW, ages
Yep.
ago.
You spoke about that in the past. Yep.
And because of MEBW and all the connections that I made all the way back then, that's the reason I'm so deep into it and I know as much as I do, is because I've experienced what people are experiencing now because of Sportswire Radio. So you can come on here and you can do your intros and you can pick us, but genuinely from the bottom of my heart, and I know everybody in the chat that like talks about you or tells stories about you.
I know I get a lot of
appreciate you,
stories. I
Tom.
trust me. People tell me stories all the time. I was actually, it's a funny story. I was stopped in the street in an affair of Brooklyn called Avenue U, which is such a very community-like area. And a woman stopped me in the street. They go, "You," and I'm like, "Oh, what did I do?" Because in Brooklyn, it's a different world. It's New York City, and it's a interesting community in itself.
Yeah, it
And I
could be
was
the
like,
end of your life and you wouldn't know it.
I was like, "What did I do?" Like, "No, I know you. I've seen you on Facebook." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I gave her my business. I have a business card, and we were having a conversation. But that's what it's about, And I said this when Craven Rage was inducted. To me, this is community. This is home. I was at a wedding, which was, basically, I'm going to shoot again, because all I do lately, which was my mother's wedding. And I went to a wedding, and it really didn't feel home. But what felt home in many ways was being here with the people, and even Craven Rage. But the point is that this is where every night, no matter what, I feel an obligation to be here. A lot of people would say, you know what? What are you doing here? Wasting your time. What are you doing? But I see it. I watch these products. To me, I wouldn't be where I am today without Backyard and Underground Wrestling. And without the people, we wouldn't have Backyard Underground Wrestling the way it is. And you were a large part of that. You said many times in many companies about community. And that's what it's about. Why has Sportswire Radio been successful? It's because of community. All wrestling matters. Because of my good buddy Sean Jovi, basically taking the mantle. He was so inspired of it. He started an All Wrestling Matters World Underground Championship. We have people from places that would have never spoke to each other. But because of here, and because of you in many ways, we have that every night, no matter who it might be. Sure, we're very lucky to have you tonight. We're very lucky to have James last night with the whole news that broke. And obviously the day prior, Ledger Shade, a once-in-a-lifetime moment that people will talk about for years. But the points is that at least there's always something for people to talk about. As you know, you've done it more than anybody else. The Backyard and the underground wrestling community certainly has an opinion from certain people. But I say it every time I go out there. Every time I quote-unquote put on my work uniform here, because I do have my work uniform here, my ROEW James Taylor shirt, quote-unquote. But I feel, to me, that I am proud to represent every single day backyard and underground wrestling. Yes, I have a following with British wrestling, no question about it. They have also kept me alive. They have given me some great opportunities, some great connections, some many great friends over there. But it did not have, and it does not have, the community feel that we have in the backyard and the underground. And to have had the amount of promotion that we've had on here in the past 18 months, and obviously yourself being here, to me, that means more than anything else. And without you, as I stated, there wouldn't be a backyard and underground wrestling community for the way it is, because you went out there and put your blood, sweat, and tears. You went out there and traveled. You went out there and did it for the love of this sport. You went out there to give your knowledge to help other places, whether it was in TBW, ROEW, and many other places. You did that for those reasons, and that's why, to me, in my opinion, there wouldn't be really a backyard and underground wrestling wing without you.
No, and I appreciate that, because I know you went out of your way and you did the special thing of giving me my own day, which I will recognize every year until the end of my life.
Right? Well, Mr. Ledger actually got it permanently, like the day May 17th, and Mr. Ledger was like, "Oh, really? It was important." And so, I mean, I have something special for you planned again. I think this will top what I give you very soon. But yes, we wanted to give you a day because I felt that you deserved it in many ways. Again, Mr. Ledger is our Hulk Hogan. You are Stone Cold Steve Austin. James Taylor said you're The Rock, but James Taylor, of course, you're going to have a lot to say because you said a lot about him today. But
yeah,
the point is that James Taylor sees himself as Stone Cold Steve Austin. But the facts are is that when we think about the two most iconic draws in our community, it's Ledger Shade and Jack Delta. And there's no question to me that's, to me, nobody can tell me otherwise because of what Ledger Shade did and what you've done. at least we got that moment. And that's why I'm very honored to have you here. You don't come on here as often as others because you basically are, again, an icon. You to steal Jack Spade's name, you were an icon, you were a legend, and you may call yourself an outsider, but I think I'm going to pull it up on the screen because I got a lot of comments, and I think Jack Delta, I want to pull this thing because I think it's the right time now. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of people are dying to hear from you. I want to pull it up for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. I want to give something to you that permanently recognizes you and your status, because the reason I did this is especially after what I saw about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, in another promotion, which I will certainly name in a little while, and they rather meekly mentioned you. And again, you can say nothing, say whatever you want. You're Jack Delta. But I can say it because I don't work for anybody, and I don't owe anybody nothing. I don't owe anybody nothing. As a matter of fact, I don't owe anybody nothing. I'm going to tell you why I don't know anybody. You want to really go with a shoot. Here's a real shoot. You want to go on a real shoot? This is why I don't need to tell anybody. This is why I don't need
pulled out all the bands, dude.
So the point is that you were meekly referenced in one promotion. They did not mention what you've done. So I'm going to make sure that's permanently recognized here on this platform, that you have been acknowledged as the greatest traveling backyard and underground wrestler of all time. Simply put, if that one promotion won't really mention it on their screen, we'll mention it here on this platform, because on this platform, we get the meaning of community. We get what all wrestling matters. And you have certainly done that. And you have exceeded all those miles, all those destinations, and some. And congratulations, the now outsider Jack Delta, which I'm so struggling to get used to. But
yeah, it's going to be a struggle for everybody.
That's why I took the XCW shirt up, because I had a feeling something was going to be up here. But then again, I bought your ROEW shirt. It still says the destructive Jack Delta.
Yeah, it's a more recent thing. Honestly, the reason for the switch is I feel like when I was the destructive Jack Delta, it was more of a run I had right at the end of MEBW where I was an actual menace to society. I was really mean to people. And I feel like the alliteration for the name of like Destructive Delta works very well, but it doesn't represent me anymore. I come out and I'm smiles and I'm happy to be there. And I feel like that's not like destructive, like my moveset's still kind of explosive, but I wouldn't describe it like as destructive anymore.
Well,
so I
you've also evolved. You've put a lot of miles. You've wrestled a lot of matches. What 4 years ago, 3 years ago was, you're never going to be the same. Everybody in life evolves.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like the outsider fits more, because everywhere I go, I am an outsider. I always have to come in and prove myself, for better or for worse.
Well, you may say that, but I think the facts is that you're the main event, and you never need to prove yourself, and you need to be home where you belong in the great state of Michigan. But this up on the screen, and I'll leave it up for a few minutes because I do have a lot of people that wanted to say hello, because you don't come here very often, and I obviously want to allow people to say hi to you. Speaking of people I mentioned, Mr. Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, one of my favorite people out there. You are all Wrestling Matters ambassador, and resident rock star is watching. How you doing, Sean Jovi? I don't think you've met Mr. Jovi in person, but I think you'd love Mr. Jovi, because Mr. Jovi is one of those people that is just, you love being around. He's got energy that's infectious, and he's just a likable guy. And, he's obviously the man behind the All Wrestling Matters World Underground Championship. Our friends in the IMF like to certainly rub off from me and my stand-up comedy, and that's what they're trying to do, but they actually called you your favorite outsider. See, I told you. This man, I'm going to get to him. Oh, I'm going to get to him. You wait for that. I'm getting to him. Oh, I'm getting to him. Speaking of people that I did mention, by the way, and I made sure to give them a mention. I know Mr. Taylor is out there like, boy, he wasn't too thrilled about that. But hello, Tom, and the Destructive. I think we're all trying to forget that you're not the Destructive anymore.
Yeah, we'll see you tripping up on it. It's fine. I don't care if people call me it. It'll be. But I will say, before we move on from him, I do recognize him as our hardcore king. So
I'm glad you did, because that was what I was doing last week on the show. I was bowing down.
It might be an unpopular opinion, but I was my hardcore king.
I was respecting him, and obviously you can do that because, well, you've actually wrestled the man, and you've obviously had some success against him.
Yeah,
Speaking of people in the great state of Tennessee, Steven Silvestri, the general manager of Resurrection Wrestling, who was having trouble with the Instagram page, he says hello to Jack Delta. Don't think you've met with him, but I will say,
no.
outsider is a good nickname considering you go to companies as an outsider to fit. So Mr. Titan likes it.
Yeah, it's pretty literal. It's good. Because I wanted everything to change. I felt like for a very long time, like I rode kind of my name, not necessarily into the ground, but I felt very like stagnant in my image. That's what the hair's for. That's what the new attire's for. That's what the new name's for. That's what the new theme song is for. Like everything's different. And
it's funny when I did the announcement for you, one more announcement on Instagram, I was trying to figure out what Mudvayne song that was, and I couldn't find it. I was in a rush. So I'm like, I changed what I was going to use, but I was looking for the Mudvayne, so I don't think it was Dig. I was just wondering what song that was because I'm like, I would have put it on my screen.
It's a band called Dope. I found
Dope. I know Dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dope was in. I was close. Dope was a band, a new metal band back in the early 2000s. I knew Dope. Yeah, I knew Dope. Yeah, I couldn't find the song, so I just was like,
yeah,
let me come up with something else. Judgment
No,
Day.
I've held on to that song for a few years. My YouTube algorithm gave me it years ago, and I've wanted to change it to it, and I've had ideas for it, but that was the one because it's such a perfect. And that's just an entertainer aspect thing that I feel like everybody as a wrestler should recognize. It has such a good like walkout feel to it.
That was a good one. I got to be honest because I'm a rock metal guy. That was definitely a really good song, and I just was trying to find it because it was funny with Ledger. I had his old one, which was Soundgarden fell on Black Days. It was like, okay, I knew that. I'm like, boom, boom. That was great on Instagram, but I couldn't find yours, and I was in a pinch. And but that's here nor there. Go check it out. But also, my friend, Beer League Hero, who's winning, Tom, Canucks or Oilers? I'm going to say the Edmonton Oilers because the Canucks are shorthanded. But thank you for the Hockey Talk Friday, 10 o'clock. I'll have some of that. Thank you, my friend. I got to get you on the platform. I watched Delta before we traveled. Tom, I would say Delta is one of the very best in the yard and has gained a following with what he does. I was a fan of Delta at MEW and EBW, and I think that a lot of people did, and I think that I tried my best to recognize that in a speech. And as I stated, I could say that I could have spoke about you in a speech for 2 or 3 hours. I could have kept going, but I can't because people want to speak to you and they want to they want to get on with it. But I think he's absolutely right. Speaking of Ace Reed, Ace is one of my favorites all the way in the great country of Australia, who I feel sorry for because now they're going into winter where we're going into summer. But he has a few nice comments, which I like to play. Ace he's a good kid, and he's somebody that I hope people go and check him out. First off, I want to say congrats to Delta for finally winning the RWW championship. And secondly, I just want to quickly announce today is my first training class.
Whoa!
Of professional wrestling. Wish me luck. Once again.
I'm sorry. That is so awesome. I am so happy for him.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's one of those people, which I was going to kind of finish with the comment, was he's one of those people that you want to root for. There's a lot of people that you root for, but Ace Reed is somebody that you want to root for. He was a kid that comes from a country that, wrestling, yes, Rhea Ripley has certainly made it popular lately, Bronson Reed, and obviously what you've seen with Grayson Waller, but to me, he's somebody that he's inspired by the yard. He's inspired by the underground, and now he's going to try to chase his dreams. And, I think you played a part in that. And I think that's, to me, that's your impact. Very few people can say that. And you did earn it. And yes, and your reign is memorable. I'm going to come back to that reign in a little while. And Sean Jovi, who's also in the Hall of Fame, says, welcome to the club. And obviously, Sean Jovi is good point on that. And Mr. Titan, who's in the Hall of Fame, I first saw Delta in MEW. Something about your character drew people in. Some of the very best in that company. But you stood out, and that's why I wanted you to bring to you to TBW also. And he continues, not going to lie, it shocked me when you went to ESW and won the interstate title. It shows how much trust a company like ESW put into you. And you were the only outsider to come in and win a title. And you did what you talked about in other promotions. You talked about that in your promos. You talked about the fact that in ESW, they didn't give guys like you a championship, but you went in there and you conquered them in many ways.
Yeah, ESW is, and we'll get into this later, ESW is very in their own bubble. They don't watch.
Oh,
other
I'm going to
backyard
get to
wrestling.
that. I'm going to get to the bubble. Oh, you
Yeah,
wait.
they don't watch anything outside of that. And for the longest time, and anybody like you can say anything you want about me with backyard wrestling. People really, really only know backyard wrestling because of ESW and Wicked J and the millions of views they used to get on YouTube. It's like that in GTS, but those guys back
Yeah.
in the day are absolutely insane. Garnered literally the entire scene outside of the like late 90s, early 2000s backyard scene, right?
Yep.
And to have the trust in them to come out and to perform and to win a championship is absolutely insane. And then to invite me back out, which I didn't get to advertise this as much because like most of the media didn't go out for it, but I did go a second time for a live event and they had 200 people, which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, listen, indie shows don't even do 200 people. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I cover a lot of indie shows, you know, and overseas, and they're like, yeah, we had a show, yeah, and then like you're really struggling, like for how many people did you have, and it's like they won't tell you the number, but the fact what they did those things, there's no denying, you know, their impact. There's no denying their success. But you walked in there, champ. You walked in there, and you know, but that's what you've done. You really went out there and made, you know, places a better one in 25 companies, 10 states, 28 championships. Dare I say more? Mr. Titan would also like to say you helped elevate WCF. Didn't really know much about them till you went and same for ROEW. You helped put them on the map and get exposure.
I love Titan right now, man. He's really like letting all of his, and that's the thing I really appreciate too about a lot of the people that follow me is not everybody's story with me is the same. Everybody knows me from somewhere different, and that's what I really like about people telling me stories or just companies in general, because it'll remind me that I've
well, you're like in a way you're like an artist. You're like a pop artist or a rock act because they have many albums, many songs, right? You know, there are some people that are here and you know they had one act, maybe they had one album, one hit. You have had countless ones. You've had countless places, countless people you've interacted with, wrestled. And I mean, we talk about the Shade recently, but you've had many other people you've been in a ring with. Executioner, JX, you've got a lot of history with actually outside of ROW. CJ Black, certainly. I mean, obviously, James Taylor, the nemesis, good old James Taylor. Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to get canceled. I'm fired. But you've got history with a lot of different people in different places. And I think that that's in a way you are very similar. Again, maybe an actor, maybe again, you know, a pop artist, maybe a rock act. Those are the same kind of things where you look at, they have a body of work. You're not just remembered for one thing. And I think that that's in many ways what Mr. Titan, our hardcore king, is saying. And that's very true. And I think, again, there's very few people, you know, I think Omen and Soulja have done some of that. You know, they certainly had some exposure helping XCW, ROEW, you know, certainly WCE. I think Aaron Blaze, I am going to definitely get to.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you some things on him. Aaron Blaze has done that. You know, your old colleague, technically in Indiana. You know, obviously Jackson Law has done that in the past. Anthony Steele has done some of that, you know, but the point is that you have done it to the degree that it's just anybody and everybody knows your name. They may not, like I said, they may not watch a lot of backyard underground wrestling, but they know Jack Delta. It's like, okay. It's like, to me, it's like Coke and Pepsi. People know Coke and Pepsi. Mm-hmm. They know it. They know you.
You know? Yeah, and that's the incredible thing too. And that's the one thing I want to touch on too with a lot of those like traveling guys. And I feel like the difference in we'll get to the actual like discussion of him in a second, but like someone like D'Angelo Flame is getting it more right than Jackson Law or Aaron Blaze, in my opinion, because he's choosing the companies right now that have some steam going for them. He's not choosing some like just some random ass thing.
D'Angelo is
like,
done.
Like he's making his own opportunity, like I would make my own opportunity. Like ESW isn't looking for people, but I pushed my way in and I got what I wanted, and now my name's known there and with their audience. You know what I mean? And D'Angelo's doing the same thing. You know, like the opportunities afforded to people who are just willing to make it to these places and work with these specific people are there. It's just some people don't like how it like looks or what they get. And, you know, like some of that might have tarnished some of my legacy. Like there are companies that I've gone to that I think are like the absolute worst. I've never advertised that I've gone there outside the fact that like it's on my list, you know? I've had some straight.
I've got some interviews like that on Sportswire. Trust me, I've got some interviews that I look back and say, "Why did I do that?" I mean, I've actually got a couple of them. So I mean, everybody has mulligans, but I think that D'Angelo. I want to save the ammo for him, but I think what he's done also, the companies that he's representing or he has represented, they're working together for the greater good of everybody. So what he's done, and again, I don't want to put Jackson Law and go and take a shot at him. He's in the Hall of Fame, and I appreciate what he's done. He's traveled. But I think what D'Angelo has done is that he's working to help the company he's with, but also the company he's going to. And what he's done is really cool. I think it's a really cool, very similar to what you've done. I think Aaron, obviously, he was here. I mean, he kind of talked about his story, but I think D'Angelo is doing it very differently. I think, which is why I think a lot of people are really excited about him. And he's just such a good person. He's just a good human being, and you really want to root for him. So great stuff. We'll come back to him later. I want to get through these comments. So many people are so happy to see this. It's like you and Ledger. People, James is always here. So it's like, yeah, James is here, but Ledger.
Yeah, it goes back to literally my statement. The reason I'm on here like once or twice a year simply is quality over quantity.
I know. And listen, James is here. I love James, and he's obviously now. I'm technically wearing his shirt, but you're not here very often. Ledger being here, and people they love you guys. I mean, it's just, we're going to talk about you guys forever. We appreciate what you've done for small and big companies that are starting out or have been around for a while. And I think what you did in Tennessee and what you did in Michigan, to me, is what I remember most, because to me, those are the companies that mean most to me personally. Is the company in Michigan that you're home with right now, and the company in Tennessee. Yeah, I'm saying it because I'm a homer, but you know what? Those companies mean a lot more to me than in North Carolina and in Indiana. Just putting it out there. Howdy, fellas. Want to say hello to my very good buddy, Mr. Hillbilly Tilly, who I know you sort of have some history with, but Hillbilly Tilly is a very good man, and we have coverage coming up from the Alliance Wrestling League on Sunday with Seth Maverick, so I look forward to that. Nicholas Prince is also in our Hall of Fame, who's here Thursday, and yeah, it is long overdue, but Mr. Delta is a busy man. He wrestles everywhere, and we got him here, and it's really, again, to me, in the words of an announcer in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, when you debuted there, it's almost like the wrestling gods rained down on Sportswire Radio. It's almost like in the movie Tommy Boy, when Chris Farley's character is kind of on a boat in the river somewhere, and he's kind of stranded, and God kind of pushes him. To me, even the last 2 weeks with Sportswire, the wrestling gods have smiled on this platform. They've smiled on the community and have given us have given us Ledger Shade, have given us Aaron Blaze to come here, have given us Jake Matthews to be here, have given us D'Angelo LaFlame in his middle of one of his greatest runs for anybody in the yard and the underground, has given us the wrestling gods, James Taylor back in wrestling again. I mean, these are all things that, to me, the wrestling gods have smiled and rained it down, that on Sportswire, we get these opportunities, and we get people like yourself, Shade and Taylor, consecutively sprinkled in with some other great people that have meant so much. And Sean Jovi in between that, what he's done creating the All Wrestling Matters Championship. It really has not gotten any better, despite some of the different things that have gone on here the past couple of weeks. It really has not gotten any better. And that's, to me, the wrestling gods smiling down and maybe giving us a little rain or maybe even a little wind. As John F. Kennedy used to always famously say, a rising tide will always lift all boats. Ronald Reagan said it as well a little bit, but really John F. Kennedy said it first. There's a lot of similarities there in their personalities, but the facts is that you and many others these past few weeks have been that rising tide that has lifted all of us. And I agree with Nicholas Crenson, and we'll see him here Thursday night, 10 o'clock. And Sean Jovi basically goes and says, you know what, let's go for the jugular. He would like to know, he's got a World Underground Championship for the All Wrestling Matters Championship, and he wants to know if you'd put your hat in for a chance to win it. I don't know, but that's Mr. Jovi's thoughts. And, you're Jack Delta, so you don't have to answer, or you have to answer. I don't know. You're Jack Delta.
I don't know. I think it's funnier if I didn't answer.
Well, kind of how Ledger was. I think Sean asked Ledger the same question, and the shade was basically, well, he gave him shade, but in a nice way, because obviously.
I think there's a chance. It completely depends on what my travel schedule.
Sure,
is,
understood.
like
Understood. You're a very busy man, and see money like the money, because I actually it was my point of showing force. I feel like sometimes I think Soldier said this on one of the shows in the cause. He said, Tom might be a nice man, but boy, does he get ruthless. And I think lately
Yeah.
you've seen some of that cunning, ruthless, that New York anger you've
No,
got.
see, that's why I think the past few weeks of Sportswire have been so entertaining. Is just like you've been in this community long enough that you're starting to see some trends as to why like certain people are popular and why certain people aren't. And instead of doing like your kind of like non-bias like interview thing, you let like the Reverend come out.
Well, I think you're getting hellfire and brimstone, basically, to quote,
Yeah.
Paul Bearer and Cain. But I think what happened to some people come on the platform, some companies abuse it and they use it, and they don't really give anything in return. There are some companies out there that come onto this platform and they really aren't a part of the community, and they're tone deaf. They're tone deaf in the fact that there are people here that want to be a part of something and want to work with other people, because that's what networking is all about. This is all networking.
Yeah.
We're not making money off this. There's no ratings war here. There's no, at the end of the day, we're all trying to network. We're all trying to, be friends. And there are some companies that, are in a bubble. They're tone deaf and they're kind of in their own cocoon. And I'm just going to get to some of those companies. So you just wait, because let's first get to some more people here. You have my attention. I'm glad I do. Damn, Tom. Hell yeah. Get the cash up. Yeah. I think that maybe, if James is having trouble with ROEW and he can't pay the bills, I think I could buy ROEW. As a matter of fact, I could probably buy every backyard fetish. Let's be honest. I could buy them all.
When I thought there was a new owner, I thought you were the owner, and I was so happy. And then I saw James.
I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how people would have reacted. I think James, James obviously had the deal, but I don't know how people would have reacted. I think that's, how much cash was that? Well, let's just say that was a lot of numbers in the 5-figure range. A very high number in the 5-figure range. Yes, my mother is gonna be like, wow, okay, really, you son of a SOB. Yeah, see, listen, that's why I make a joke. I always say on this platform, you watch the shows, that I do, obviously, people could say I'm a poor man's Vince McMahon. Not quite that poor, but but we're definitely in the range. Do want to say hello to my buddy Drake Golddragon, who's here next Friday for Resurrection Wrestling. But C Money says, congrats, Mr. Delta. Let me say hello to my very good friend, the It Factor Cyrus, from our good friends over in Dominant Breakout Wrestling. And he says he would like to go one-on-one with you, but I'm sure everybody else wants to go one-on-one with you. So, yeah, I don't know if you're back home right now, though, right? You're obviously home in Michigan. And, obviously I don't know if the great state of Maryland is really in the cards at the moment. But, who knows, right? Never say never, right?
Yeah, the invitation's always been there. It's just, stacking whatever into each other. It's so interesting to see who has watched me, because so many people that I have seen for years. I've known of Cyrus.
Cyrus
for ages now.
By the way, Cyrus is one of my favorites. Cyrus is also in our Hall of Fame. And Cyrus is our global champion in DBW. And Cyrus is, he's had a long career in the great state of Maryland, other places around there. And, he's definitely a guy that he's a part of the community. He comes on and he's one of the guys that comes here and he knows his stuff. Cyrus knows what's going on. And he actually has a nephew out there that's very successful out there and done some stuff in the former CZW in the great state of Pennsylvania. So,
oh, wow.
Yep. Cyrus is definitely one of my favorites. And Cyrus, I have to wonder, when are you coming back onto Sportswire? But maybe I'll ask you that question, Mr. Cyrus. But Nicholas Crenson wanted to say die MF or die by dope is a total yard of yeah, I gotta, it's funny. I do remember dope when I was in maybe junior high. I want to say junior high was dope, mid 2000, right, early mid 2000. I'm pretty much showing my age a little bit, but yeah, that was dope. That was that whole era. It was Edema. It was Korn. It was Deftones.
Yeah.
Slipknot. Stain.
No, see, that's the funny thing is I kind of think I hate the chorus. I hate how edgy the die is, but the actual verse that leads up to it was so good that I couldn't not do it. So
that was a good one.
Yeah,
it was a good one. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Also, Atomic Titan would like to say, if you ever form a faction, call yourselves the Outsiders and come out to. That's a good one. Eric Church's song, The Outsiders. Yeah, that's a good one. I've heard that reference before. I have a lot of comments here. I mean, oh my goodness. ROEW, speaking, is that James Taylor running the ROEW page? Because after all, he can't, certainly.
He did mention there was a board of directors, so there might be somebody behind that account.
I think
if I were to guess, James Taylor would be under his 10 million subscribed YouTube channel, not the ROEW thing.
Okay, fair enough. And it was fate that led Jack Delta to ROEW. Funny how a simple message to collaborate got us to where we are today. Amen. Working together.
No, and the one thing I appreciate about that, and that was like a previous comment too, is when I go to a company, there's only like two things. It's either a small company, right, or it's a big company. The small companies, I go there for just exposure, or not exposure. I go there to establish them and make them known to my audience, and whether or not they can take that mantle and run with it after, that's up to them. And then the big companies that I go to is just exposure for me, so my audience just gets bigger. So it's just
I think it means more to companies like ROEW. I think it even though TBW was established, there's no question when you went to TBW was red hot. But TBW, I think it meant, and I think they did right. And I know it could have been different in certain things, but at least they gave you there was an olive branch. That's what I always appreciate about TBW. There was at least an olive branch mentioned to who you are. ROEW goes without saying. There was at least those olive branches. And that's stuff that I appreciate. And that's why I'm so appreciative to work and support ROEW. And again, I own an ROEW Jack Delta shirt on the way soon. Speaking of one of my other favorites from the great state of Tennessee, the icon Jack Spade, who I referenced, I think in my speech, from Resurrection Wrestling. I don't know if he's the better Jack, but we could maybe have a Jack.
I don't know about that, Spade. I don't know about that.
And congratulations to we're going to get to that. Want to say hello to a man you certainly know very well and who have an interesting sort of history with from the great state of Alabama. Insert Shitty Yarder versus Jack Delta. Let the man enjoy a moment for once. But it's nice to see the mayor of Flavor Town with it. But you know what, though? But I got to be honest. ADP is not, but he's not. He's half not wrong because you even said it. But you said it today. In the promo on the ROEW YouTube page, you like how I plugged ROEW. To be fair, everybody that's come on my platform, I gotta face Jack Delta. We see it tonight already. I gotta face Jack Delta. I gotta wrestle him. But why? There's only certain people that deserve to be in that category. You mentioned a few names. You mentioned a few today, and there was one man on Saturday that I certainly know you would want to mention him.
Yes.
And I think that's where it should be. And obviously, ADT, we know the history there. So he's not wrong. It shouldn't be like Skulls comes on here and I want to wrestle Jack Delta. It shouldn't be guys that come on and don't know how to wrestle and want to wrestle Jack Delta. There should be only certain people. I think you mentioned one. You have a boss you mentioned. There was a man that was here Saturday. Certainly, I have no doubt would certainly love to face him. And there was a man that was here 2 weeks ago whose last name is Blaze. I'm sure you certainly who shared a locker room with that. I think you wouldn't have a problem mentioning. And I think he's not wrong. ADT is not wrong. And you want to throw Omen Black in there. I'd have no problem with that. But Soldier GP and Omen Black are more in the pro underground, but you could throw them in there. I have no issue with that. Throw them in. Jake Matthews, throw him in. But it shouldn't be everybody that comes on Sportswire. It shouldn't be Scary Terry of Legendary Backyard. And I love Legendary Backyard. DJ Dunn is the man. But it shouldn't be. It should only be those that have stood the test of time and are in the Mount Rushmore or in the conversation that should wrestle you. So ADT is not wrong. I got to say, you know what? ADT, I'm with him.
No, and I love how full circle our relationship has gone with me and ADT, because we started off in such a bad spot. But ADT is one of those guys that I recognize that, like, even though we had a little bit of a kerfuffle, he's got more passion than most people I've ever seen.
How about what he's done?
Like, I've never seen somebody storm onto the scene the way that he did and go kind of from like just completely nothing, in my opinion, to being like running a company or like being a part of a company that's just on this massive upswing with a lot of.
They got indie guys on their roster. They're in a ring.
And and even better than that, and even better than a lot of other people in this community, he carries himself so well.
He carries himself like a champion. He looks like a champion. He speaks like a champion. Now that's a champion. And you know what? I'm giving AWL some credit because we have Seth Maverick coming here Sunday night, and we have Colback coming on the following Tuesday. Really looking forward to those guys. But you know what? That's a champion. When ADT's been on Sportswire, that's a world champion who conducts himself. AWL is a company that conducts themselves knowing how to promote their world champion on this platform. AWL knows the community. AWL gets it. ADT gets it. He always looks like $1 million. I may have near $1 million, but he looks like $1 million every time he comes on this platform. I'm kind of like a Jimmy Buffett, Sammy Hagar type, where I basically don't care and dress like this every day. But ADT, he looks like a heavyweight champion every time he's here on this platform, and he carries himself like that, and that's what it should be about. And I want to give props to AWL, and I'm looking forward to ADT coming back on this platform.
Yeah, and one of the biggest reasons AWL works so well too is I'm not going to sit here because I watch some backyard wrestling, but I know so many people.
You're a busy man. Yeah, you said it here,
and I don't watch all of AWL, but I will say, and this is what makes things work in this world, is AWL is so in your face with uploads and social media that you just can't ignore how active they are. And that's a big detriment to a lot of other companies because other companies will post social media things every few months, every few weeks. AWL is posting all the goddamn time.
and they do it in a way it's right to the point. They do it where it's like AWL and ROEW get it. 20-minute. IMF does the same thing. NEW does the same thing. Jake Matthews, a longtime yarder. Gabe Sayers, my buddy, being trained by Mario Mancini and Paul Roma coming here next week. They get it's right, short, sweet, to the point. Want to say hello to a hardcore legend out there from the great state of Connecticut, and Mr. Doc Holliday. How you doing, Doc? Good to see you. I don't know if Mr. Holliday's met Mr. Delta, but from one legend to another. D'Angelo LaFlame, I got powder still on you. Don't worry. Want to say hello to Mr. Gold Dragon. Again, all wrestling matters. Want to say hello to the man that was the world champion NEW for literally like maybe 5 minutes, and he lost the title. That is D Savage. How you doing, D? I think I'm seeing you this weekend. Speaking of people that is here, your boss and your former opponent is here, James Taylor. Glad to see the positivity with the champion. Congratulations from the new owner to you, Jack Delta. I just hope this community will finally see how a company should be ran and to bring entertainment. This is just the beginning of a new era here in backyard wrestling. My vision is that Delta will bring us into the new era. What do you think about your, I guess, new boss and his thoughts here on this and you? That's an interesting way to segue.
Well, I've got to be mutual on this simply because he's my boss, and at any point he could just decide, because he has been in the business, that he could just decide one day to be Jason Storm and just be a tyrant.
But he wouldn't do that, though. He said he would not do that specifically, though. Do you take him for his word for that?
I don't know. I think it's interesting having someone who hasn't had an on-screen appearance or relationship with ROEW running it, because he'll be non-biased. And I feel like because of the connections that he always has with Sportswire and his...
People say, is when's James on? People always ask me, is James on again? I say, yeah, of course he's on. He's always going to be on.
No, he's on when it's not even like him advertised to be in the thing. It'll be like Anthony Steele's on, and then it's also James Taylor and Evan Black.
I know we're gonna have some fun with this. I feel like what it's almost like when James comes, Omen to an extent, but really more James. It's almost like if you're like living somewhere, you have a house, and it's almost like you have a neighbor, and they just kind of come over. That's to me like James. James to me is
like Steve Urkel.
I'm not Carl. I don't think it's Urkel and Winslow here, but I think it's more like with us, it's like, James is here and he's always welcome. I always tell James is like, can I come on? I'm like, you don't even ask. Just when, I kind of think me and James, I'm going to say it. James and I I know Anthony and James have this relationship. I'm going to break the fourth wall. James is very special to me on a personal level because we speak all the time. I think we have such a camaraderie. He gets my humor. We're yin and yang. We've called your match actually with him. To me, when James is here, even when we don't even announce him, to me, like, I know I'm like a helium balloon because I just love James coming here. I got to be honest. I know we're so happy to have you here. We're so happy to have Mr. Ledger here. I want to say, like Mr. Allen, you say Mr. Ledger. But I mean, to me, having James here, like, I don't even know what my day is like without James. I got seriously, like, without being here, but I got to have James on. So to me, James is he's very special to this platform. I'm going to say it. He can be here anytime he wants. And he wants to take over for Sportswire. He's allowed for that. I know the community is going to be up in arms now. I can see it now. Boy, nepotism. He's being bought off. But you saw, I don't need to be bought off. But the point is that James, listen, I love James. I'm putting it out there. James is here anytime, anyone. He wants to say anything he wants. he's always welcome.
Well, I mean, since we're discussing him, we'll probably get into the meat and potatoes of
Yes.
like him, the match, like our relationship, and all that.
I want to hear about that. Yep. Before I come back to some comments. Yep.
First thing I'll say is like I don't rewatch my matches like that often, and I always enjoyed the match I had with James. And the issue with him came from the fact that he had an issue with it, and he aired it on social media without messaging me first. And
Okay.
that he can say personal or professional or whatever, but to me that's a personal attack. That's not a professional attack, because if it was a professional thing, it would have been in character. But personal, you should have messaged me first, and that's where a lot of like our stuff stems from with that. And I never hated the match. I enjoyed the match. Like, yes, it could have been longer.
I liked it. I mean, I called the match. We played it yesterday. I mean,
But
you know,
the thing is, I have an opposite opinion of him. I know, and this goes back to the everybody versus Delta thing, where it's like everybody wants to wrestle me, so everybody wants to have this like 30-minute New Japan Tokyo Dome level 7-star match. And it's just like I show up and I have to wrestle 10, 11, 12 of these things in the middle of the woods in Tennessee. And it's hot as fuck. Like it's just impossible for me to like please everybody. And you know, like in a certain way, I apologize to James if he expected more out of me during that. But at the same time, I'd wrestled 11 matches that weekend. I think he was 7th or 8th that I had wrestled. I had to wrestle in a boxing ring in a company that I don't even like talk about. The next day, I had like 4 matches there. And that's where my issue with him stems from. But I will say, and this leads into the big reason that like from now until the end of time or until he shows up, whether he's my boss or not, I'm going to keep calling him out. Because my other issue with James is I'm very happy, right, that he's found a niche for himself where he's on screen in a backyard wrestling company and he can contribute to the stories rather than being this online personality. But I still want him to show up. I still want him to come to ROW. That's an interesting
point that you made. See, I'll be fair. Omen Black and Soldier GP have complained about this for 14 months. They've complained about that issue. I mean, Omen and Soldier, Soldier GP has wanted James Taylor in a ring for 14 months. That's a known fact. And if we're going to really talk about some things, James was here yesterday, and I'm sure the man that, I mean, I'm going to be mentioned off the tongue till I'm dead, the Shade, Ledger Shade. There was some history there where you and certainly Mr. Ledger may have some similarities there. You know, obviously there were certain things that happened, and obviously we know that it's been aired publicly what happened in Tennessee with James. So there's obviously different sides of the story. There's no denying the fact that we would have liked to have seen things differently. Listen, I would love to see James. You know, as a matter of fact, James in Alabama was a topic a few months ago. James in the AWL was a topic. You know, Craven Rage came on. The general manager of WC, James was a thing in Wisconsin. I mean, you know, James has been a thing in different promotions. And
and see, I don't necessarily mind if he wants to, you know, be a part of the community in these ways, but he can't hype it up in the fact that like he's gonna say he's gonna like go and wrestle all these guys, and then he never wrestles any of these guys. There's no payoff. It's the biggest blue balls of all time. You know, James Taylor doesn't show up anywhere. And I respect him as a person for wanting to do all this, right? And it's not a knock on him personally, but professionally, what is it, all of these promises, if the only thing you ever post is WWE shorts? And that's why you're like...
Are you saying that James Taylor has made a name for himself, not in Tennessee or other places in his career, but rather through WWE, let's say social media vines or memes?
I mean, go check the views. His stuff for backyard wrestling and stuff that he's been involved with equates what would be on the channel to begin with from the original channel. You know what I mean? Like his review.
Do you think that he should he? Then are you telling me that when we talked about Mount Rushmore the other day, and certainly you and Mr. Ledger, I think you would certainly have no problem with Mr. Ledger being next to you in a Mount Rushmore, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
But you
arguably
would
in
have a
terms of
problem
like
with James.
statistics, he's the longest reigning champion of a company that has a massive amount of subs. So
He
his name
grew
is
that
definitely
company.
in
He put
contention.
he put that company in the sport on his back, just like you did. But you have no problem with Mr. Ledger, obviously being on a Mount Rushmore with you. But it sounds to me like Mr. Taylor, from really his body of work, you look at it and say he's kind of mid then for Mount Rushmore.
I mean, this isn't, and I know there's gonna be misconstrued to all fucking hell. And I know there's
Oh,
gonna be an Instagram live or some shit that's gonna like detriment me. I'm not saying he's a bad worker. I'm just saying in
Oh,
the
I think James is a very
totality.
good wrestler. I think James is a very good wrestler, but I think from what you're telling me on statistics, if we look at a Mount Rushmore, just like in WWE, people talk about who's on the Mount Rushmore. They talk about Austin. They talk about Undertaker. They talk about maybe Bret Hart or Hulk Hogan or, The Rock. There's many names that get thrown on there. You want to throw John Cena on there, Roman Reigns. There's people debate it, but from what you're telling me, if we would have a Mount Rushmore in the community, you're telling me that, maybe guys like Aaron Blaze would have more of a say in the Mount Rushmore than James Taylor, huh?
I would argue that, yeah, he's been to more places. He's
Won
wrestled.
championships. He's been out there
Yeah,
like you traveled, worked in promotions that probably, did him wrong like you in one company, maybe in particular with 3 initials, starts with an X. Sounds like that you're making a point that James has meant a lot, but your issue is that does James mean as much to other people? That's what you're telling me, basically.
yeah, and it goes back to the thing of like I'm not taking him personally, but he always hops onto like all of these platforms from what I've seen, and he talks about how much he cares about it and how much this means more to him than anybody else. But he's never in any locker rooms. He's never sharing the ring with anybody anymore. Like when was I his last match? Like,
No, he wrestled Jay Wild, who you wrestled also when you were the P
oh, was it
last match.
after that? Was it around the same like time period?
Yeah, kind of. I think you had dropped the. I want to say
I dropped
somebody.
it to Jay Wild.
You dropped the PWF title. I think. I think James wrestled him maybe right at. You taped
Well,
all
they
these.
set it up at the end of the match, so I think that would
Yeah,
be what it
right around.
is.
Yeah, so that was his last match in Tennessee was against Jay Wild, and that's the last match he's had since. So I don't know when he'll have a match again.
And that's my
we
point.
ask him all the time. Listen, we talked about Alabama. Things didn't work there in Alabama. Obviously there was a lot of talk here on this platform about, both sides in Tennessee and obviously James, and it didn't happen. There was an opportunity, quote unquote, presented in Wisconsin. The boys in Iowa have been talking about James Taylor coming to their show and their promotion for ages. And
It's almost like Santa Claus. Like literally, like I would love the opportunity and the time to dedicate a day of him coming up to Michigan and us running back a match that he will like.
well, let me throw this out there. Should someone pay for if the travel's an issue? What is the travel cost from Michigan to Alabama? What's the plane cost? Is there?
Wait, is he live in Alabama?
He's in Alabama, Mr. Taylor.
Whoa, okay.
Is that something that maybe if there? How bad do you want to wrestle James Taylor? How bad do you want?
Well, it's not
Everybody
even an
talks
issue of
about,
how bad I want to wrestle James Taylor. It's an issue of how bad does James want to get out and go do something.
James will always be on Sportswire. I'll ask him that question. But James has been like, look, I've obviously been focusing on different things. I think that he wanted to be in different places. And, again, as I say, I don't get in the business of who people should go where, even though I have a portion of the PWF, I'm very upfront. What you see, and you can attest to this, I tell you the same thing on and off the air. There's no, I don't BS. I don't pull any, I am straightforward. And that's, it could be a detriment, could be not. But
I know, because you have Hiroshima on the way.
Yeah. Oh, I've got them. They're coming. But but the point is that, when it comes to James and the companies that he worked for, we wanted to see him come into, that's up to those companies. I don't get in the business of that. And I tell people this off the air, in Tennessee, they can tell you that. James can tell you that even. I would love to see if it were to work in Michigan, if James wants to be an owner and wrestler. But right now, it seemed to me from when he was here, he wants to focus on being the owner of ROW.
And that's perfectly fine. I accept that he wants to be an owner, and I respect him as my boss. It's just I don't like that he talks to wrestlers and promo artists and all of these people as if he's going to show up. That's
Do you
my
think he'll be so are you saying that he'll be a different owner than, let's break the fourth wall from Joshua Allen for an that you worked for down there in Tennessee? Certainly Mr. Allen was a very, very prominent on-screen figure when you were down there in Tennessee, because obviously he was the painmaker with Mr. Ledger, and Club and Spade came in there toward the end. Are you gonna tell me then that there's similarities of, ironically, Mr. Taylor's former employer who employed him in Tennessee, that there's similarities to how you think they'll be owners?
To a certain extent. I feel like Joshua Allen is a completely different case because he's got his own.
But James Taylor and Joshua Allen are two massive personalities. The point is that they're two massive personalities that they're major on-screen characters. James Taylor is not going to be like a guy like me. Yeah, I own portion of PWF, and I tell the guys, Omen and Soldier, do whatever you want. I tell the other portion, it was Dalton Skull, do whatever you want. I'm laid back in that sense. Now, coming on live to Sportswire, different ballgame. But James and Josh, I think we all could agree that they were very hands-on for their companies, and I would imagine.
I think James will be on screen a lot, and I think he will affect a lot in terms of.
And I think that's what Josh, and I think that's where I see a lot of similarities. So what you're telling me really is it going to be like almost ironically Tennessee North between you and James, where Titan and Allen have this certainly clash, and we're going to see that here in ROEW? Is that what you're telling us?
Well, yeah, it's going to be like that, but it's not going to be face-to-face like I'd like it to be. And
oh boy, the fireworks are coming in a different way.
But I will give him some credence. I do feel like under the reign of James Taylor with his connections, and me being world champion in Everybody versus Jack Delta, it's going to be. It's not going to be like the drip feed of like crossover talent.
But there's no denying the fact that, listen, let's kick the ballistics for a second. Let's break the fourth wall. I'm going to break. Okay. You want to talk about Hiroshima? Jason Storm is a good talent. Jason Storm I like Jason Storm personally.
Very good guy.
Jason Storm is a great wrestler. I think he's done a lot. But there's no denying that ROEW's social media engagements the last 30 hours compared to where they were. James Taylor drove up social media. James Taylor increased subs on YouTube. James Taylor increased views on ROEW's social media platforms. James Taylor's got people talking about ROEW more than maybe anybody's talked about ROEW in ages. I mean,
because he's shoving it in everybody's face. That's like.
But but that's what an owner should be. I love Jason Storm. I mean, Jason Storm certainly wasn't like owners in North Carolina or in Indiana that What tree fell in a forest, would you know? Would the same matches go on, and would you know if it was anything different? If I told you it was different people, they wouldn't know the difference. But at least with James Taylor, things are interesting now. ROEW is relevant. ROEW is a place that people now say, you know what? Yeah, James Taylor's there for love or worse, or lack of a better. I want to talk about them. Jason Storm. People really weren't talking about ROEW as much. People weren't talking about them. Now people are talking about ROEW. People are like, wow, you know what? Jack Delta's champion. James Taylor's owning it. I want to talk about ROEW every day. People weren't like that before. Yeah, ROEW comes on the Sportswire. Yeah, it's great. We have him on. CJ Black comes on. Jason Storm was back as the Cyclone. Yeah, maybe Jacob Collins available. We'll book him. Yeah, is JX around? I don't know. I'll talk to you about him for sure in a little while. But the point is now it's like, I want to talk about ROEW now. Because you got James. ROEW gets mentioned now, honestly, just as much as TBW. And let's go break the fourth wall. James Taylor owning ROEW, that's got to be driving them nuts in Tennessee. That all of that's going to be talked about. So now, you know what? There's a healthy competition. There's a healthy, friendly rivalry now in a way. Because now you see it. Okay, you know what? Those boys in Michigan are doing something. Those Northerners are doing something there. So now you got the rivalry that, a friendly competition that, it's driving them nuts in Tennessee. Because they didn't think that James would be back on screen. They didn't think James would be back in wrestling. You can say what you want about James and James not wrestling, but James is back in his biggest role of his career, I'd say. I mean, So at the end of the day, You're talking more about James Taylor. When people talk about James Taylor's name, they make fun and say, James Taylor's a Stone Cold knockoff. The Vine on YouTube. The TikTok. But you know what? Now they're talking about him seriously. You know deep down it's driving them crazy in Tennessee. You worked in that promotion. You know it's driving them crazy. As a matter of fact, you know it's driving those guys in Iowa crazy. It's driving them, especially in Wisconsin, crazy. Alabama, definitely after what happened there. I mean,
I got messages from people when James got in the field.
Oh, listen. People are going nuts from the guys in Massachusetts that come on here. The guys in Connecticut all of a sudden want to come on to Sportswire. Don't worry about the guys in Indiana and North Carolina. They don't even know who James Taylor. They don't even know anybody outside of you anyway in the community. But the point is that, all of a sudden, the big players, the heavy hitters were like, you know what? Yeah, what's going on? And I think that at the end of the day, that's James Taylor and his greatest success to date. You know what? If James Taylor wants to wrestle in Michigan, if there's a way I could make that happen, I'll absolutely do it. I'll do it, whatever I could. But at the end of the day, that's up to James Taylor. That's up to him and his God. That's up to him and his family. That's up to him and what he wants to do. But right now, you know what, Jack Delta? We're talking about James Taylor and you're the champion. He's the owner. I mean, has hell frozen over? Because that's the way I see it. I mean, you've got new hair. You've got a championship belt. You're home in Michigan now. I mean, James Taylor's in wrestling again. I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, this is good for the community. This is what should be done. So, you know, at the end of the day, we have something to talk about. I don't know who would have been here Monday night instead. Who could I have had on? The guys in Indiana? Who would have been here? 4 people? 3 people? The guys in North Carolina? Again, did the Tar Heels start up yet? When did the Tar Heels come out? When did the Wolfpack play? How about the guys in Maryland? They would have been here. Who would have been here? 3 people, 4, 5? But because you're here tonight because of James Taylor, everybody's coming out of the woodworks. Everybody wants
shit. Yeah, I just looked at how many people are here.
That's the point. That's the point. And you know what? And that's good for the community. That's what it's about. People are talking. You're champion. You're back home. You're in the main event where you belong. James Taylor's back on TV in his biggest role yet. I mean, this is what people want. He's right. People want a new era. People don't want the unbiased. People don't want the plain-spoken, easy-going, hunky-dory Sportswire and backyard and underground wrestling. People want an attitude. People want an outsider. People want a destructive. People want a nemesis. People want a tyrant king. And that's what you're getting right now. You're getting all the things that secretly people value and come to it, but now you're getting it in a better way because you're not getting one guy in Xavier Thorne. Did he take a bump yet? Does he know how to take one? People aren't getting a Silver Wolf guy. Did he learn Fisher Price training rules? Did he learn how to use a water balloon? People aren't getting C2K. Can he rap still, or is he still doing nursery rhymes? People aren't getting Craven Rage right now. I'm sure he'll be here, though, because he's here. But they're not getting Craven Rage figuring out that he's retired, but then he's not retired. They're getting you and James Taylor, and then got Ledger Shade on Saturday. And you know what? They got D'Angelo LaFlame. We're still getting to him. They had him a few days ago. He's the darling of the sport. He's basically nipping at your heels. We had Aaron Blaze here. Everybody's still talking about that. Jake Matthews was here. He's a hardcore new Northeast legend. I mean, Mac 10 was here. I can keep going. That's what you're getting that. You're getting the very best right now. So you know what? I hope James Taylor wrestles you if that's what you want. But you know what? If it doesn't happen, right now, you know what? We're talking on a Monday night at 11:25 p.m. Eastern time, and 65 people are here. And you know what? That's telling you, you know what? People seem like they're into this right now. People seem like, you know what? People are hungry for this. They don't want the same things. They don't want the same old predicaments, the same old cliquish mindset. People don't want the boringness. People want something, a new era. People want an outsider era. People want a nemesis. People want a tyrant king. People want all wrestling matters, figuratively and literally. And this is what the people are getting. And that's why I think ROEW is ahead of the curve right now, because you're here and we're not doing a Jack Delta usual podcast. Let's go cut to the chase here. People interview you all the time and they talk about, you know, Jack, what was your greatest moment? You know, Jack, what did you do? We're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about you where you belong in the main event, actually talking with somebody that you wrestled And yeah, there's unfinished business with. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're not just talking about you and just some, oh, best of Jack Delta show. And oh, he wrestled Executioner. Oh, he wrestled Gage Flair. Oh, he wrestled Ecstatic. He's out of static compared to the community. Oh, he wrestled Jesse Justice. Who? Who? Eric Mason. Is he hypnotized? I mean, we're talking where you belong. We are talking about you as a main eventer, talking about you not just on a podcast where you came, you went, the same old questions. That's why Ledger Shade was here Saturday. That's why Aaron Blaze came here 2 weeks ago. They're here because they don't want the same old podcasters that are in a backyard wrestling nexus, or they don't want the same old podcasters that basically wank off to Busted Open, or they go watch shows and they're talking about WWE role playing. They want the truth.
No, I'd even argue on top of that. A lot of podcasters outside of yourself usually use the podcast as a platform to advertise themselves more so than the person that they're interviewing.
$1 from people. I have an internet radio station that I pay every day out of my pocket to give podcasters a chance to live a dream. I don't advertise merchandise. I don't do that because it's about you guys. It's about the community. I go out of my way every single day. Yes, the people are coming, the views. It's great. No question about it, because I'm always a believer. People, if they know it, they will come. But the point is, a lot of podcasters go on. That's why a lot of these guys, they're Johnny-come-latelys. They're nobodies, because they, at the end of the day, don't know how to do it. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to present the person here. Quote unquote, wrestling is about getting the person over, quote unquote. I know nothing about wrestling. I don't even know anything about what wrestling is. But the point is that it's about you to get over. It's about to get the guest over. And that's why podcasters come and go. That's why there's like 8 or 9 different shows that try to rip me off. But the facts are that they can rip me off, but one guy stutters. The other guy does raps and said he's been wrestling for 30 years, but had like 5 matches in his career that are relevant. Another guy that's on the training wheels. Maybe he's training, maybe he's not. There's another guy that does a podcast, and he basically puts his headphones on and can't put audio on. I mean, we can keep going. I mean, there's podcasters all over that try to knock off my mile. But just like there's only one Jack Delta, there's only one Tom Bryce. Just remember that. You've made your career in the streets, in the backyard, in the underground. I've made my name in the streets of Brooklyn and Staten Island, and there's nobody like that. And that's why we're here tonight, and I think that's for the greater good of the community, and it's about you, and it's about some of these comments, because I can go on about Jack Delta.
Oh, yeah, I imagine it's been a while since we've done comments. So
hello, boys. Zilla, I appreciate you, Zilla. Zilla has like a bunch of comments. Would love to have Delta back sometime to have matches and tell stories with newer, older talent, as well in a great run in TBW. James hears that, and all of a sudden he's getting agita right now. James is getting agita.
Yeah, let me mention too with the TBW stuff. I do appreciate what the owner of the PWF did at the time.
Yes,
but I really wish that had been talked over more, because if I would have put the quality of work in the matches that I had on the PWF channel, which are literally in the same arena as the TBW.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware of my predecessor very well. I speak
if that
to
was
my
on the actual TBW
basis.
channel, my TBW run wouldn't be the biggest missed potential run of my entire career.
But at least, you know what? At least they sort of recognized you.
Yeah.
At least they sort of.
Yeah.
They sort of.
And I'll always appreciate that, because I went up against 2 of their top guys, and they had the respect and the willingness to let me wrestle them on a big platform, and they put me over, or I beat them, so.
I don't know what those terms are, but I digress. Want to say hello to our friends in the state of North Carolina, but I'm going to still stand by what I've said. Congratulations on winning the ROEW championship. We love the new look. Well, I think that Mr. Delta is here in the main event, where he's here to stay, hopefully. And we thank you for tuning in to Versus the World Wrestling. If you want to watch Jack Delta's matches there, you can, and decide for yourself and where Jack Delta should be. I think we could plan something pretty good if it's planned and managed well. But again, James Taylor is having agita here, because James Taylor's in his he's saying mumbling atomic twerp, and he's calling him softcore queen. You could just hear James Taylor right now. He's getting angry right now. James Taylor is he's going nuts right now. Thank you, Chip. See, there you go. Our friends in Alabama. See, love them in Alabama. James Taylor says, appreciated time. We're way behind on comments. We all make mistakes. I was in a bad place at the time, Delta, so that's my fault. But I've learned from it and wanted to move on from it. I don't blame you for the match. I blame the booker. Now, what is a booker? Now, I only know how to read books. I can barely read them, but, interesting line of language there. But I will also say this from Mr. Titan. I mean, I'll take the blame for it as I was running PWF, but you also wanted to face Delta, and you could have had denied it if you wanted to. Sounds like some inside baseball there, quote unquote, from Mr. Titan. I'm going to say what I stand by what I said. I might not have had many matches, but let me steal your phrase, Mr. Delta. Quality from. I can hear James saying that.
I can hear it too. Quality, quantity, but when the quality was 50 years ago, James, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because no one knows it, all right?
You wait for more comments. It's going to get real interesting here. Anniversary, that was you and Jay. No, was it James and anniversary? No, I think it was you and Jay. Well, right?
No, I was scheduled to wrestle Gage at anniversary.
You wrestled him at 140. Right, you wrestled him 145. You had the 146 stand. Yeah, so that would be James and Jay Wild.
Yeah,
James and Jay Wild. Thank you for I'm still going to get to you. You just wait. I haven't said anything anymore about going anywhere for a while now. The way people don't get upset, I'll only say something when I'm 100% sure that I'm going. And yeah. Joshua Allen is a horrible boss. I would do anything to my hands on that fill in the blanks. Honestly, I should be the GM of TBW. He's tried firing me multiple times. He actually did last week try to fire him on this platform. He's actually factually correct. And I want to say happy birthday to Chase Wakefield, the Bitcoin. Love Chase.
No,
Chase.
I love Chase Wakefield.
I love Chase Wakefield. No, Chase Wakefield can play on my team any day of the week.
I might just for his birthday, maybe might mail him his Aaron Jones pop figure back. But maybe. Not confirmed. Okay. Might.
Okay. Fair enough here. Okay, let me go back to some more comments. I did say James as owner and Delta's champ would bring eyes to the product. He actually did say that to me, actually even off the air. So I actually want to back that up. It's something new and interesting and not really driving anyone crazy. It's not a bad move. Yeah, I think it's a great move. Okay, Zilla's going on and on and on. I got you. You have the same comments. But let me ask you, though, I want to come back. There's a lot I want to talk to you about, but I want to come back to this individual. It's a good time now because he is the man that we've been talking a lot about. He is the man. You addressed him a few days ago when you were coming on. You mentioned him today on ROEW TV.
I did.
This is D'Angelo the Flame. He's the new Hughes. I've called him, and other people have. He's the darling. He's the man we talked about. He went to Alabama. Some say different things about who should have been there and who wasn't. Not you, actually, but could be referring to your owner. But the facts are is that he went to Alabama. He's been in Tennessee, your old stomping grounds. He's going to be in the state of Massachusetts coming up, and who knows where else he could end up. And obviously, this was one guy, champ, you took to mention on your time today in your first words as champion. And you mentioned him. And that's D'Angelo the Flame. That's obviously a guy you've never formally met. You've pretty much met almost everybody there is. And this is the guy that's the energy. You even mentioned him, the energy. He's the energy of our sport right now. He's everywhere. He does all these different things. And he's been as impressive as anybody can come. And what would you want to say now after everything that has been said? He was here. Others have said some things. Mr. Taylor mentioned him last night. And, what would you like to address D'Angelo Flame now that he's here? And, what else is on your mind about him?
Oh, man. I have a lot to say about D'Angelo because D'Angelo quite literally, it's insane. It's like being an old man and seeing a grandson and understanding that one day he's going to fill your spot. And D'Angelo, in a very specific way, is doing the right things at the right time.
You mentioned that earlier.
He recognizes that. He recognizes that he goes to the right places. He has the right energy. And this isn't me shooting on these people, but D'Angelo is the greatest asset that Resurrection has produced. And
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like Resurrection's fine for what it is, but D'Angelo has broken through that threshold that I don't hear about Resurrection. I don't hear about AWL. I don't hear about all of these places that he's been. I hear about what D'Angelo LaFlame does.
Right.
Right? And that's what I appreciate so much about him, because that's the same thing for me. Not everybody goes and watches all of these companies that I go to, but they do go and watch Jack Delta. Right? And with that, D'Angelo, you recognize that I'm slowing down on my traveling, right? Like, I still have dates here and there. Like, I'm not done. But
oh boy, they're gonna say, "Here we go. He's retiring again."
Oh, no,
Whoa,
he's
no,
gone. He's
gonna
gone.
retire. You know, somebody messaged me, "Oh, Jack Delta, what's he gonna say tonight? Oh, is he gonna retire again?" Well, I said, "Stay tuned and find
Yeah.
out." People are like, "Oh
I'm
boy,
actually
he's fired another
announcing
shot."
that I stubbed my toe, so I'm injured and I'm off and I'm vacating this for 6 months. Okay. But D'Angelo, you are bouncing around the country, and you have such a beautiful opportunity to tell a story unlike anything we've ever seen. Because people travel here and there, and we get these like watered down Wish, AliExpress versions of these stories. But genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, D'Angelo, if you show up, I think me and you, we're bigger than this championship. We're bigger than the internet championship wrapped around your waist. If you show up to ROEW, I'm greeting you first. And I'm going to look you in your eye, and I'm going to tell you, I respect you, everything that you stand for, but I will beat you.
Wow.
So,
wow. What you said there, like I said, there are people every day they come on here. They see you in a chat, they watch you. Yeah, I want to wrestle Jack Delta, but the way you addressed him was different. You know that that's a match, as I've stated. We talked about the fact, if you're a basketball fan, we never got to see Michael Jordan and LeBron James in their prime. Sure, we saw Kobe Bryant play a couple times against Michael Jordan, but what did it really mean? We never got to see Patrick Mahomes face off against, let's say, Joe Montana. But here, we have an opportunity to see something special. In many ways, kind of like what we're getting right now in football with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Or we saw Tom Brady and Peyton Manning square off so famously, so many times. Maybe Brady and Mahomes, you got a couple times in a couple big spots. I'll give you that. You've seen great rivalries in the world of sports abound. People in baseball talk about the Yankees and Red Sox. They fantasize about it. The Dodgers and Giants. People fantasize right now about the Cowboys facing off the Philadelphia Eagles, or the San Francisco 49ers squaring off with the Kansas City Chiefs. They've played in 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. People in hockey talked about Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, or Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby. You can go up and down the list of sports. People right now talk about, in the WNBA, they talk about the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces. Just keep going up and down the list of great athletes, great moments. In wrestling, people talk about right now Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. People talk about the potential of maybe The Rock and Roman Reigns, or The Rock and Cody Rhodes. We got to see John Cena and Edge famously for all those years. John Cena and Randy Orton. We got to see Triple H and Shawn Michaels wrestle for a bit. The Undertaker and Kane. The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. People fantasized about the fact Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan were in a square up. I can keep going. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Who could never forget that? How about Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels once upon a time? But for us, in our backyard, in our underground wrestling, in our scene, in our community, D'Angelo the Flame and Jack Delta is that match. You know what? Forget about all the different people. Yeah, Craven Rage can wrestle Jack Delta. Sean Jovi, he might have an announcement. I'll give him a pass. Aaron Blaze, I don't know. Who knows? James Taylor and Jack Delta don't have as much of a filling ring to it as D'Angelo LaFlame. I can keep going. Let's mention some more names. Jason Storm, we already seen that. We already talked about him as owner. Miano Diaz, will anybody even hear it? Anybody even watch it? Let's talk about some more names out there that are in the world. I mean, Kodak Kid? Meh. Kodak Kid, would he show up? How would that match be? Who? Let's keep going. We could talk about more different names out there. Want to bring up more different names? Well, you were in VTW. It should have been you and Aaron Jones, but they kind of Forgot to mention that. Forgot to make that happen. So let's not go there. Mr. Judgment, Asher Christ, which one? Which one would you be getting? Maybe both? AI versions? The point is that you can mention more names. ADT? Let's not go there. But D'Angelo the Flame, let's go there. Let's talk about that match. I hope the people get to see that match. You know what? There's only one place that match should take place in, and that's the great state of Michigan for ROEW. The only way that match will matter, the only way that match will mean something in the main event would be Jack Delta and D'Angelo the Flame in Michigan, because in Michigan, they'll know how to promote that match. In Michigan, they'll know the story of Jack Delta. They'll know the story of D'Angelo the Flame, and that's the only match where it'll get the due it deserves in the main event. So if it happens, D'Angelo the Flame, Michigan is where you should be going to have that match, because the only place it should happen is in Michigan at ROEW, where the big boys play, now home of the big leaguers and the heavy hitters like the outsider Jack Delta, because we're living in a new era, in an outsider era. And D'Angelo the Flame, Jack Delta was right today. You might be the energy of wrestling. You might be the energy of Sportswire radio. But the only way and the only place that this match should take place in is in the great state of Michigan. And you did say, by the way, on Thursday's show, Michigan was no problem for you. You had family in Michigan. So you know what, D'Angelo? He said he had family there. So you know what? Michigan should be a walk in the park from, as a matter of fact, he's going to Massachusetts, they say. He's going to Massachusetts. Isn't Michigan on the way? You know it better than anybody. Nobody's traveled more frequent flyers than you. You probably have freaking flyer miles racked up somewhere. So you know the travel. You know the commute.
Well, if he has family in Michigan, I'm just saying that's the easiest trip anybody that's ever.
I wouldn't want to see that match in North Carolina. They wouldn't even know your guy's history. They would say, "Oh, Jack Delta? Who? What'd he do again? D'Angelo the Flame? What is he? Energy? What's energy?" They wouldn't know how to do Indiana. They'd probably have it like on some Friday show they run is like a rerun of a hyped up show of who knows what, and it would be buried. And they probably actually, you know what? In Indiana, they'd have the match, but they'd air it next year. You'd probably have a different look by then. You might be the ROEW champion still. D'Angelo the Flame might have purple hair by then. So we don't want it to happen there. So the facts are is that the only place it should happen is in the state of Michigan for ROEW. So you know what, James Taylor? You are the owner of ROEW. You are in charge. You're the boss. Make it happen. Yeah. Contact Resurrection Wrestling. Mr. LaFlame is listening anyway. He listens to Sportswire. He watches the shows. So I think that we know where this match should happen.
Yeah, because one final thing to really cap that off, and really to cap off a lot of the ROEW stuff, right, is this championship that I won. I want this reign to be me tying up every loose end I could possibly imagine.
Well, you said you were champion, basically. You were here until you lose the title. So the way I see it, we're living in the outsider era. The way I see it, we're living in the new era, because I'm looking at it right now. To me, Jack Delta, and I spoke about it last night, the only place you should be in right now, again, you can do whatever you want. You're a private citizen. You're allowed to go anywhere you want. If you want to go back to North Carolina, God bless you. If you want to go back to Indiana, God bless you. But the way I see it, the only home you should have is in the great state of Michigan, where you're in the main event where you belong. So as far as I see it, the only era we're living in is the ROEW Jack Delta era, where Jack Delta can use his name, just like Ledger Shade did down there in Tennessee and helped build TBW. They used to call him Mr. TBW. Well, by the time it's all said and done, if the cards fall into place, they'll be calling you Mr. ROEW.
I love the sound of that.
Well, that's the marketing geniuses of Sportswire Radio, because we kind of know the history of the talents, unlike in other places that you wrestled in recently. And they had an opportunity to do something special, and they didn't do it. How did you feel about your run in VTW?
See, that's super rough. because I know you're waiting to burst at the bubble for this one, and
No, I respect that, and you know what? And I respect that, and I appreciate the honesty. You can say nothing on this, but I think that the people in the court of the public opinion, I think they know what should have been, and it certainly wasn't what we saw.
Well, a lot of it, I'm gonna like pull back the curtain because I know we're about to get a little serious here. I love the people at VTW. They gave me one of the best experiences I've had yarding ever. I came in and they treated me like family and drove me around. I hung out with a lot of them, did karaoke, like I did everything.
Oh, they're great guys. I love those guys. They're cool people. They're nice human beings. But to me, they didn't even recognize your history. Didn't even mention it on commentary in the last match. Did Jack Delta really need to struggle to hang in VTW? Really? Are we not paying attention to backyard underground wrestling? As far as I checked, Jack Delta made it in ESW. As far as I checked, Jack Delta made it in WCF. As far as I can check, Jack Delta made it MEBW. And as a matter of fact, he had a face-off with the greatest backyard wrestling and underground champion draw, our Hulk Hogan and Ledger Shade. Ledger Shade seemed to recognize that. So it seems to me like Jack Delta, not only did he make it in those places, he thrived, and I don't think he had to struggle in any place, in any shape, or form, and versus the World Wrestling. As a matter of fact, how many people know VTW and their talent on this platform? I don't know.
That's a good question.
How many of them really know? Seriously, I'd love to know. I'd love to know if you're out on this platform. And again, I'm not knocking VTW, but how many wrestlers that are in my chat right now that they know really the list of the VTW roster? But I can tell you they'll know everybody in TBW. They'll know everybody in AWL. They'll know everybody in NEW. They'll certainly know them in IMF. I mean, how many does WC have again? I can keep going. I mean, RBW, everybody knows now about that. I mean, TF Crew, have had them on. People know them because they're mostly at NEW. But how many people really know the VTW roster? And how many of them ever come in here and are part of the community? I mean, it's a question. It's not a knock on them.
No, I know. And it's just a difference in morals between what they want and what we want, because VTW is very similar in vein, in my opinion, to XCW and ESW, where they're in their bubble. They don't really.
But XCW, I'm going to cut you off on XCW. The only thing I'm going to say differently, XCW, the talent are in the community. It's one man that's not in the community. But the talent, Justin Parsley, DJ Walber, Law speaks for itself, Tommy the Man Merriman. No, there's a lot of guys in XCW that are in the community. It's one man that's not in the community. The difference is that companies like ESW, again, not knocking them. They can do whatever they want. I'm not knocking VTW. They can do whatever they want. But they had an opportunity to take a man like you and really do something that would have made them even better than what they. Yeah, and they got the ring, they got the pro setup. Love it. I've said it. I tell people to go watch their product. Go watch Versus the World Wrestling. It's not a knock on that, but you were a special man. I'm a businessman. I'm a promoter. I would have made sure that the first minute you walked on that TV, you looked Aaron Jones in the eye. And then all you would have been doing is looking. Instead, I love Ace Christian, but they had him in this goofy contract thing with the Brufy certificate, and he lost the match. And he has this training thing. Yeah, it's cool. But Jack Delta was here. And that's all that should have been the focus on. And then they had you in a match. And again, you can say nothing. Totally fine. Say nothing. You know what? You're Jack Delta. You don't have to say a single thing. Just like Ledger Shade. Say not a single thing on this.
Yeah, but that's not fun. I feel like that's the platform allows me to voice my opinion on things. And
you're Jack Delta. You don't have to. That's the difference. No. You're not Anthony Steele. You're not James Taylor. You're not Omen Black. You're not Sean Jovi. You're not Jake Matthews. You're not Atomic Titan even. But I'm just saying, you were like, yeah, you hugged Ecstatic. Again, I think Ecstatic is a great talent. But to me, I wanted to see you and Aaron Jones. I wanted to see that match. And it was like, maybe we can go play cards and we can smile and take a photo on Instagram. Maybe show it to our people. Yeah, we were here. Maybe I'll put you in somebody's vlog. Yeah, that'll be fun. But on YouTube, I was watching. I was waiting for that moment. At least in Tennessee, we got that moment with you and Legislate. At least I saw you in a ring with James Taylor. At least I saw you in a ring with Gage Flair. At least I saw you in a moment with Atomic Titan. And I didn't get to see you and even Asher Christ. I didn't get to see you with those people. I didn't get that. And that's where to me, like, again, BTW doesn't pay me. BTW, I don't owe BTW anything. What? They're going to message me and say, why did you say that about the product? Fine. What's going to happen? It's my opinion. You can say nothing. But to me, I think I watched that and I watched your run and it was like, I don't want to say it was a murdering of a character, but it was like you were misused. There's no other way to say it. If you want to really go and pull the curtain, you were misused. I'm sorry to say that to you. And I'm sorry to say it to the promoter, but you know what? You were misused. You went there. You wanted to go there. It was a place you were excited about. You had Yvonne McDonald, a relationship. You loved Brandon Costelli. You loved Chase Wakefield. You talked about all those guys, but you went there. It was almost like you went up to bat and you didn't even get a pitch to see to hit out of the park.
Yeah, I mean that's always going to be an issue going to places that are in a closer knit bubble, essentially, because when it's just, say, you have 8, 10, 12 guys or whatever for your roster, you have basically the entire year planned out for all of these people on the roster.
Load and repeat. It's rinse, load, and repeat. Rinse, load, and repeat. And I'm tired of seeing you go to places where it's rinse, load, and repeat. I'm tired of seeing you go to places that you go there, you have a cup of coffee, and you lose to Jesse Justice. You have a match with Eric Mason, and you're there, and it's like you're gone, and maybe Jack Delta could come back. Yeah, maybe. To me, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing you go somewhere. You can do whatever you want. You can do you're a human, you're a private citizen. You are not employed by me. You can take it for whatever you want. I'm not a wrestler. I'm not a promoter. I'm not anything. I'm a nobody. So for me, what do I know, right? I don't know anything. I don't know versus the world wrestling. I don't know these. What do I say to them? They don't care about my opinion. But I'm going to say that to me, you should only be in places where you belong and deserve to be recognized. I know that this is a long sermon. This was a Hiroshima, and I'm not even. I mean, I gotta be honest. I think to me, you can do whatever you want, but you only belong in the main event. I just don't want to see you go to places. You've done too much for this sport. You travel too many miles. You go to these places for what? To lose what? Can Jack Delta hang in VTW? Really? Did you not watch him in TBW? Did you not watch him in ESW? Did you not watch him in MEWW? Did you not watch him in WCF? Did you not watch him in ROW? Have you not watched him on Sportswire? Jack Delta don't need to hang with you. It's more like, who are your guys on this platform? How many people know VTW's roster? And that's with me promoting people telling them, go to VTW, go to there. You know, TBW's made stars out of people that shouldn't have been stars. Russell Cooper, how about Russell Cooper for a second? You know, Russell Cooper's had some issues. He alleged that I asked Gage Flair for $20 to come on Sportswire, but it doesn't take away the fact that Russell Cooper started as a referee to be in the world heavyweight champion. Jay Wild has come up and busted his tail. How about Jacob Young? How about what Jacob Young has gone through? Joe Anderson. I mean, we can keep going. Andrew Clay. How about what his promo was on Sunday, what he's done? I mean, how about Beast? I mean, guys in TBW are made. Stars have been made in TBW. I think there have been more stars made in ROBW than VTW has ever made. What stars were made in VTW? They're all the same. They're all friends for 10 years, which is fine. But that's a clique. But my neighborhood's like that. Guys go to a local bar down the block. They're all friends. Yeah, but there was no outsiders came in. You're the outsider, Jack Delta. You need to make some people here at ROBW. You need to make Jacob Collins a star. Keep making him a star. Maybe Monoxide, help him go out. You and JX, I'm going to get to him in a few minutes. Don't go to places where you're there, you have a seat at the bar, maybe you share a drink, you play a game of darts, but you didn't mean nothing to them. You mean nothing. You mean zero. You went to Indiana, you didn't mean nothing to them. You come back, yeah. You go there. Maybe they'll put you in a match with Hayden Vex. Oh, he's released. Don't even go there. I mean, they'll put you somebody else. They ain't going to put you somewhere to shine your luster. What's the point? You should use your name to better the community. You said it yourself. You're the community. You said it. You've done so much for us. You've said it for everything you've done. You're at a point in your career, again, do whatever you want, but you should use your name to better those that want to be with you, not to go to places because you watch them and like them and enjoy them. They didn't seem to rip. They didn't put the mat out open for you. Yeah, they congratulated you. Yeah, you come in, but maybe you'll get a match with Luka Daniels. Maybe you'll wrestle him sometime. Maybe Mr. Assassin will give you a match. Maybe you'll get Cyrus in DBW. If he's in BTW, you can have the match there. But it's not going to do anything for the community. What would do something for the community is being in ROEW and building a company that was started by a young man who had a dream, who dreamed every day that he wanted to be in this sport. All he does is think about wrestling. ROEW was a company that really, honestly, never thought it would be restarted. ROEW was a company that honestly was a whim, skim, and a prayer. ROEW was a company that really, at the end of the day, it was part of a backyard wrestling nexus. It was going nowhere. You took that company. You have that belt on your waist. That's the best you've ever looked as a champion. That's the best you've ever looked in your career. Yeah, you got titles. You got 28 of them. You probably have more championships than people have. I don't know, my bank account. You're probably bigger than that. But the point is, ROEW, that's where Jack Delta belongs. ROEW is a company. You stay in ROEW and you make this new era, this outsider era, you will be just like Ledger Shade. You'll be like Ledger Shade because you'll finally be in a place where Jack Delta stayed and Jack Delta built, just like Ledger Shade. Ledger Shade was in this platform. He said there was one difference between you and him. He built one company and stayed with that one company. Look at the subs. You stay in ROEW, I guarantee you, they're at 600 plus subs now. You stay in ROEW, you make a difference with James Taylor, with other outsiders that might want to come in. Say, you know what? I want to play ball there. I want to see Jack Delta. I want to see him every week on my platform. I want to see Jack Delta. I want to test my skills against him. I want to come to him. Not Jack Delta going and taking some 4 airplane trips and spending 12 hours to go to some bumble fill in the blanks town and people that don't value him. No, they come to you now. They come to you and test their skills against you. You can build that company. Maybe get it to 2,000, 3,000 subs. And maybe, you know what? That one guy breaking the fourth wall that started a company and had a dream, and people might say different things about him. He's even had difference with me on this platform. You can go fill in the blanks on what that is. But the point is that Jack Delta, you're a special young man. You can take my advice or pick it out the other ear. Don't even have to do anything about it. But I'm telling you, Jack Delta, you stay in ROEW, you will be like Hulk Hogan, like Ledger Shade was. You will be like The Rock. You will be like Stone Cold Steve Austin, for real, because you'll make a difference. And that's what you should be doing. No more going to places where you came, you went, and it was a dud. You say what you want after that.
God, I don't even know how to follow that out. That's you know, like before we went on, I knew this was coming, and so now that it's out in the public air, I'm not gonna like detrimentally like cut my stuff with VTW or XCW or anything, because I do value the people there and the experiences that I had. Because
the talent are great, but one company is one problem, is one man. They're a great company. XCW's got great people in there. The other promotion, like you're the guy at the bar who comes, visits, you have a drink with them, but you're not a part of the clique.
No, I 100% understand your criticism towards everything. But like every single trip that I've ever gone on, for better or for worse, has made me who I am. With the booking that I've got, with the people that I've met, with the connections that I've made. So I'm not going to downgrade anything that I've done. I personally don't agree with some of the stuff and like the situations I end up getting myself into booking wise for, you know, XCW or even to a certain extent with VTW, just in terms of just because VTW I was filling a slot, like breaking the fourth wall in that one. I was filling the slot for somebody else, but I understand where you come
They
from.
hyped
Your
you up
criticism.
on TV and talked about Aaron Jones. You were there for Aaron Jones, and then they meekly had you play a comedic character. You're not a comedic character. I'm sorry. You're the outsider Jack Delta. You're the man that had a face-off with Ledger Shade. You're the man that had a match with CJ Black that Copper Dragon rated 7 stars. You had the greatest match in backyard and underground wrestling history. You were just coming off that. And you go and wrestle guys that you had to hang with. Hello, you have a 7-star match with Copper Dragon, who's the greatest backyard wrestling ambassador that this sport's ever had. He's our version of Dave Meltzer, a man that's seen so much and he thought so highly of you. And you go there to meekly wrestle and play a goofy comic? That's not you. You're Jack freaking Delta. You're the greatest outside traveling wrestler we've ever had. You're the man that's on Mount Rushmore. This isn't a game. This is the truth. You can do whatever you want. You can say, you know what, I don't ever want to come back on the Sportswire. Tom, you're an idiot. I might be an idiot. I might be a knucklehead. But you know what, Jack Delta? You came off the greatest match in backyard and underground wrestling history. You had a match that Copper Dragon thought so highly of. You have it all right in front of you. You literally, like Bray Wyatt, have the world in the palm and the edge of your hands. To go other places, they dropped the ball. I'm sorry. They dropped the ball. I don't even care if people come at me. You know what? I want somebody to come at me and say, what did I say wrong? What did I say wrong tonight? That Jack Delta belongs in ROEW. And Jack Delta had the greatest match in wrestling underground backyard history. Copper Dragon thought of it so highly. People talk about it to this day. And you went to some state that thought Jack Delta could hang. He doesn't need to prove anything. Jack Delta has been a man that won a championship as an outsider in ESW. He has a match with 11,000 views on YouTube. 11,000. Doesn't have 100, 200. Yeah, I'm some nobody. I got one hit, 1,300 views on YouTube. Okay, I got 30,000 on TikTok. I'm a 2-3 hit wonder. Okay, fine. This is a man that's been seen in hundreds of thousands of homes. This is a man that he's done more than some guys that are mid-level indie wrestlers. Let's be honest. They're mid-level indie guys. Okay. They got a great YouTube show, great product, but they should be. The knowledge that VTW has, how could they not be a top-of-the-line YouTube product? The guys in TBW, where you went to, had a dream. It was started by a bunch of young kids in a high school in Tennessee. How could they have started? So they had a dream. They were a small business American success story. Those are the people that I would cut my knife. I would take a knife and I would actually cut my heart out for those guys, for what they've done. They started something and look at where they are. They had no knowledge. They had no impact. They had no insights. They did it unlike other companies. They didn't have indie credibility like one guy in Indiana. They didn't have VTW where they were in the indies and they had whatever they are, or DBW, they were in the indies. No, these were kids that were in high school and had dreams. And look at where they are. They achieved the greatest dreams of them all. They've been mentioned on Barstool Sports. They have hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok. People can say what they want about how they book matches or how they put characters and present them. But the truth is, TBW is the greatest American small business success story of any wrestling promotion as far as I've seen, because they've made it. That's where you at least had some success. That's, to me, where you mattered. All wrestling matters, in my opinion. All wrestling does matter. And I want to tell people right now, you should go to VTW. Go watch XTW. Watch their product. But the truth is, Jack Delta, where you really will make all wrestling matters mean something, is if D'Angelo LaFlame wrestles you in ROEW. And you know what? If you want to go back to TBW, James Taylor may not want to hear this. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't even mind seeing Atomic Titan wrestle you in TBW. I wouldn't mind you and Jay Wild running it back. But the point is, go to places where you belong, where you want to be, not places where you try to fit in. In life, there's an old adage. If I try to fit in somewhere, I'm not fitting in. What I've learned in my life and what I've learned with this platform, the reason why I'm here today talking to you and why you spent 2 hours with me tonight, it's not because of, oh, I've got all this, I've got that, I've got a great personality. It's because I have something that works. It has something that people believe in. It has something that people want to be in and want to be a part of. You wanted to spend your time with me tonight. You want to be here on Sportswire and Chats. That's what you should be. Be that person. Don't try to fit in. You can do what you want.
God, you were dropping like actual pipe bombs tonight, and I love you for that, Tom. You have really hit your stride recently, and and I hope and I pray that after this like wave of like people that you've gotten with me and Ledger and Taylor, you continue on this role because you are.
I hope so, but the reality of it, it's not. I mean, I'm going to be honest. There's going to be some guys come on, and you're not going to get this. It's just, unfortunately, that's how it goes. This is a great moment. Sportswire has done great, but in a week from now, there's going to be guys that come on, and people are going to be like, who? I mean, Craven Rage will be on here for the 19th time, and C2K will be on, and Tyler Rock will be here, I'm sure. Zack Attack. Unfortunately, it goes in ebbs and flows. That's life, and that's fine. But you know what? I have you here for the moment, and I'm going to say what's on my mind. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. People can say whatever they want. People can boycott the platform. People can say, don't come and watch it. People have done that. But the facts are is that I've stood the test of time, and I'll always stand the test of time. Like everybody else, I'll keep going. I'll persevere. I'll grind. That's all I know. I knocked on 15,000 doors one year in the streets of Brooklyn in 2017 and 2018. I wore out 5 pairs of shoes. I lost 3 elections by a few hundred votes. People could have said, where could you have gone from there? I kept going. I kept going because I believed in myself and I believed in what I could do. I started a podcast. I was on Skype. Didn't even know how to speak. I was so nervous, but here I am today talking to you. The facts are, Jack Delta, you're the greatest traveling backyard wrestler ever. You should go to places where you could really use your star and give some power to it. You've got it all right in front of you. Like I said, I don't know. I don't go and ask people where they should go. I don't influence people. I don't want to tell people who should win and lose. As a matter of fact, VTW is entitled to have you go there and lose every match. Even XCW. They can do whatever they want. It's not my promotion. It's not my product. I have no right to tell them anything. But what I am going to tell you is my opinion, and you can do what you want. And the reason I tell you these things, the reason why I spend so much time on this is because I've gotten to know you, and I care for you as a human being. I've never met you in person, but I've seen you as who you are. And I think that you've given your life, and you've given way too much time to people that didn't reciprocate back. And I think that you shouldn't be taken advantage of. You can do what you want.
God damn, Tom. I love you, man. Like I do. It's you are such a genuine person, and you reach even beyond the community at this point. You reach out personally to like the hearts of the people.
That's what it's about. I've learned that in my life. I'm a networker. That's how I learned in life, is that if I show my personality, I don't have much skills in anything. Look at how I look. But I can tell you one thing. I'll talk to every person I can. I'll reach out to any person that I feel deserves it. You deserve it. Listen, you're in my Hall of Fame, but you're a Hall of Fame person outside of it. I'm not looking to score points with you. I don't ask you, hey, Jack, who's going to win your match? I don't do that to anybody that comes on this platform. It's not worth it. And to me, it doesn't do anything. Wrestling isn't about wins and losses, but it's about how you're presented, and it's about what you should do. So like I said, you can do what you want. I do want to say hello to some people. Mr. Copper.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been a long time since we've done comments.
Because you know what, Jack? It needed to be said. One of my greatest regrets during my tenure as executive broadcast producer of GWC Intensity was not getting you booked. See what I mean? That's somebody that would have recognized you. See, that's my point. That's my point, Jack. You need to go to places that recognize you. See Copper Dragon? He's the man that gave you half that 7 stars of CJ Black's match. He said that. He's thinking what I'm thinking. And I subscribe to his Patreon page, and so should you. And I actually sponsored his last match. And that's what I also do, especially for BACW. I think my match between you and the likes of Fred Yee, he's mentioned Fred before, Melvin Bell, Ryan North, and Casey King would have been 7-star material.
Yeah, I know all of them. I used to watch a lot of Fred Yehai. That's crazy.
I was it actually before Mr. Dragon came on the platform, because I like to do my research. D'Angelo Flame said, W. Tom. And he also wants to say that he did say sometime soon, I'll keep you posted. So somebody's listening to me out there. And he said he gladly will. And Atomic Titan said, when is that Michigan trip? Well, you're in Tennessee. Your employer's in Tennessee, Mr. Titan. So I would say that he wants to face in a hardcore match. Well, that's up to Joshua Allen. And I want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Darkron from the great state of Ohio with a Summer Bash. I hope Darkron is doing well. Mr. TBW, Atomic freaking Titan since day one. Mr. Anniversary and the workhorse of TBW, Gage Flair. Well, Mr. Anniversary, as far as I know, is Ledger Shade, but I'm going to let that pass. I want to say hello to my good buddy, Peter Richards. One thing I respect about Jack Delta is he's a champion that doesn't come on shows like this and just flap his gums and say nonsense. He's more action, less talking. I agree with you, Peter. And that's why Peter is a good man. That's why I like Peter. And I haven't listened to Peter's podcast before I played it on my radio station. Honestly, I think I took care of that. I think Mr. Titan, I gave them the spotlight there. C Money seemed like he was happy. So C Money he was happy. Also here, I'll come on soon. Yes, as a matter of fact, he's coming on, I believe, next week. So, or the week after that. So you'll stay tuned for that. But Titan's one of my favorites. Listen, I love Titan. I mean, you know what? Another guy. I love Titan. Now, you know what? James is like, oh boy, he said that again. I love Atomic Titan. Listen, but I love everybody. I love Anthony Steele and I love Atomic Titan because
Titan lives his character. He's a goofball, man.
I love Atomic Titan. Listen, Tom he's lying to you, trust me. But yes, I do appreciate the very kind words. Delta is one of the greatest to ever come out of MEW. Could not have agreed more. And James Fury, a man that I mentioned in my speech to induct you. And I think I've asked you about James before. And, James has been a big impact to you in a lot of your editing as well.
Yeah, no, James is genuinely one of the greatest people I've ever met through this because James was my opportunity. I might have mentioned this before, but it's new to people. But James was the first person to take a chance on me in wrestling because when I started, I was just a ref. Originally, like a lot of my logos, I used to wear tank tops like this, but it wasn't all the people I beat. It was the most origin story of it all because I used to be in a tag team called Ref to Riches. And the reason that existed was because I was originally a ref. And, when you get into reffing, eventually your brain's just like, oh, come on, let me take a ref bump. And then it goes from there and you just spiral and snowball. But at the time, the storyline stuff didn't allow me to do that. And James had his own company and I went and I wrestled for James. And I still talk to James to this day.
He's a good man. I actually have a mutual connection with you through my friend Darrow Johnson in the state of California because James has been a very, very respected independent wrestler. He is a guy that's native.
Oh my God. He literally capped, I think a top 5 of independent social media views for Instagram. He made 1.5 million or even bigger than 10.5 million. I forget what it was, but it was massive. He beat people that were in GCW. He beat people that were in MLW. He beat people that were in WWE. But just professionally, whatever. As a person, I absolutely love James. Maybe I'll even text him to be on here. I feel like that'd be an interesting.
Well, he knows we've spoke. He's just he's like a true traveling wrestler. We spoke actually. I was introduced by Darrow Johnson. He's probably one of my biggest supporters out there. So it is what it is. Also, I think before I close off, Mr. Taylor may want to say something for a few minutes. We'll see, but I wanted to ask you about JX. I would be not doing my due diligence if I did not bring up JX because he's the man that you want to grant a rematch to for that ROEW championship here. Now, for those that may not know this, you have history with JX. You have a lot of history with him, and it was sort of touched upon in the telecast on yesterday's show. But you're giving JX a rematch. And again, you guys are similar, but yet different. And I've watched some of that stuff in different promotions. And why give JX a rematch right out of the box here? I mean, talk about why have you granted JX this rematch coming up here next month?
JX is the definition of the type of person I want to wrestle going forward. JX is someone I have a lot of history with. We met in Omega Michigan Wrestling a few years ago. Omega Michigan Wrestling at the time had 25 or 30 subscribers. And the first match I was in boosted the views and the subs up to 150 in the first video. And JX, not long after that, followed in. And I was in MEBW. This dude was in MBW. So it was so similar.
I noticed that.
and I was familiar with him for a long time, and just the first time we wrestled, we I don't even think we really talked about anything. And we went out there and put on such a phenomenal match for not knowing each other or what we were about or what we like really stood for. And we had multiple matches after that. I think we had 2 more matches in Omega, and we had like kind of wrestled each other in multi-mans and stuff like that. But it has been such a long time since we've stepped in the ring together. And I feel like we both have developed immensely since then. And the one thing I want to be remembered for with this reign, outside of just the excellent matches that I'm going to be putting on with all of these people, um, is the most important thing in wrestling. And I feel like that's what's been lost with my audience for years. And it goes a little bit into your criticisms of the companies, but it's storytelling. And
Yes.
with me being in Michigan and this being like something I can work on with the people, and it's not relegated to a weekend trip where we have to like jam pack a bunch of stuff because everybody's busy. Everybody has their own plans. I have 10,000 planes I have to be on. Storytelling. We can make this as beautiful as we want it
Well,
to
the history was touched upon. You have a friendship with him. There's a real friendship there in many ways. Like, he's the guy that has, in some ways, he hasn't traveled as much as you, but he has actually been kind of a counterpart of yours. And just,
Yes.
I think that's the interesting of this. And it's a match that I think a lot of people would really want to see. And I think that it's a match in many ways that, I think people would want to watch and say, you know what? Those guys, I might want to see them run it back a couple of times. Those are guys, I've seen them in other promotions do it. I've seen a little bit of them touch in ROEW, obviously on Sunday's telecast. You guys have obviously been in some other, mixed type of matches, but
Yeah,
that's a match.
it'd be the first time we wrestled in an actual ring because
Yeah, because you guys wrestled on mats and other
no,
different.
we wrestled in Omega and we wrestled in like CBW, but both of those rings are like 6 by 6 feet. So if we like suplex each other, we're flying out the garage. So it's like that in ROEW, we're gonna have the chance for the first time in both of our careers together to craft a match that we could show professionals like what we're made of. And
Because you
that's
guys
what I
are,
really appreciate.
first of all, you guys are professionals, and I would put my money any day of the week on ROVW, and I would put my money on you guys having a match that, Mr. Dragon, if you're out there, you might want to review this match. And I have no doubt you gave James Taylor and Anthony Steele 6.5. You might give this one 7.1 if this is such a thing, because I
Yeah,
have
but
no
it
doubt.
might finally break the Meltzer scale where he goes
I'll tell
crazy.
you what, Copper Dragon is our Meltzer, but I have no doubt. I'm excited about this match because I think of the history between you two guys. And I was so glad that in ROEW, we kind of acknowledged a little bit of that. And I think that in a way, maybe this is the guy that's overlooked in terms of your history. People
Yeah,
talk about this,
and
and
that's
he's
what I
overlooked
want.
in your history.
That's what I want. That's what I want with all of the matches that I have forward because I feel like a lot of them really write themselves. And it's just up to, instead of just internet hearsay or like social media stuff, it's actually just put onto the YouTube channel for people to view for the rest of time. And that's what I really like. That's the Aaron Blazes, that's the D'Angelo LaFlames, that's the JXs, that's the rest of the ROEW
Well, you
roster.
mentioned Aaron Blaze, though. Now, that's a man you shared a locker room with over there in a couple different places, and especially in Indiana. I mean, you dropped his name, and, he was here 2 weeks ago, and I'm actually going to drop an announcement here. I'm going to drop another Hiroshima. I still have something left in me. Aaron Blaze is back next month, and he's back to join you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and he's back.
That's impressive. That's impressive. You got a Hall of Fame title. No, and like Aaron Blaze is one of those guys, right? Where I've shared a locker room with him. In fact, I'll even go as far as to say that I had a match with him, but it never got uploaded because of stuff that happened.
Yeah, I don't want to say what I know about it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go like as far as to say that like I'm ashamed that like I didn't think the match was up to quality because of like how the tapings and stuff went. There's just like something with the Indiana that just doesn't do it. But Aaron Blaze is one of those guys, right? That for ages now, he's just been on my radar. We share so much history.
He's a guy that's he was here and he like he's got an interesting past like you. He's an outsider. He's another guy that's traveled, not as far as you, but he's traveled.
Mm-hmm.
He's another guy that I think is misunderstood. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's another guy that people may have had a perceived notion about him. But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, another guy like you that's gone to companies and he's given them views. He's had his own company with had a lot of success, and he's gone. And he's a young man. He's still a
Yeah.
child. This man
Yeah. No.
is a child. He's a
Yeah, and I
child.
feel bad when I do get in the ring with him and beat him up because I feel like it's going to be like some type of lawsuit.
But you know what? That's
But
a match that people might want to see, but in Michigan, not in Indiana.
yeah, no, 100%. And I don't know, it's just so strange because Aaron, like I love Aaron Blaze. Like we text all the time. I care very deeply for him as a person.
So do I. I
And
want to say that as well.
I just want to see, because I know he cares very deeply about this and the places that he goes. But I feel like, and I mean this with all due respect, he can take this any way that he wants. I feel like he's never had a true test in backyard wrestling. I feel like everybody that he's been paired up against isn't as high of a bar as me. And
Well, he hasn't faced anybody like you.
that's what I mean. I feel like he goes to, he goes to Tennessee. He's had his stuff in Tennessee, and I know he appreciates that stuff. And they're kind of their own thing. He's gone to Indiana and he's done his own stuff there, but he's never gone to a company that has valued him the way that I know a story between him and I would play out.
But
You know what
that's
I mean?
where we have a chance to do something special in ROW. ROW right now has a chance. Again, I don't know anything. I have no inclinations of what the future is. I can only tell you from what I'm here from you in front of me. You telling me in your eyes. Right now, ROW could be a really special place because of your existence, staying home. You've mentioned Aaron Blaze, a man that's never really had a home in other places, a man who's never really had the success. D'Angelo LaFlame is knocking on your door. Let's see him prove it here. CJ Black's still around. He's the good guy. You got plenty of history with him. That ain't going to be over by a long shot. We spoke about JX. To me, ROW right now could be the place where the big boys play. ROW was a company once upon a time. What's it? 3 people wrestle the same matches, the same people? Well, no, Captain Sherlock, Captain Obvious. ROW now, with the new era, with the outsider era, mixed with a Tyrant King and a Nemesis, ROW could be a place that, you know what? Maybe the big boys do want to play after all. Maybe the stars want to come here, that they recognize that ROW is a place. You know what? Why not Jake Matthews is out there? Jake Matthews is in the great state of Massachusetts. You want to see hardcore? Come on down to Michigan. Omen Black and Soldier GP. You've been here. You know where to find the address. Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, All Wrestling Matters. You want an answer about the All Wrestling Matters World Underground title in Summer Bash? Come and knock on the door in ROW. Come on down to Michigan. How about those
you saw the guys from DKW said that earlier too. You guys are more than welcome. That's basically the antithesis of like what this title means to me. Is I hope
that's it, and that's what ROW is about. ROW is not about you got to come in here and maybe you can hang. No, ROW with the new era, with the outsider era, with the Tyrant King and a Nemesis. You want to prove your skills? Come on down. Come on down. Let's see it. Let's go for it. That's what to me is tonight's about. It's a new era. It's a new era on Sportswire Radio, where we're going to basically call it as we see it. We're going to break the fourth wall regularly. We're going to speak the truth. Maybe it's a different truth, an inconvenient kind of truth. But the facts are what they are. ROW, to me, is in a new era right now. It's a new era of backyard and underground wrestling. And Jack Delta, you have a chance to do what Shane Douglas did in 1994 when the NWA was born into ECW. ROW right now could be a new thing for a new people. If you're out there, Darkron, Matthew Forsaken, Sean Jovi, Nicholas Crenson, Craven Rage. If you're out there, Omen Black and Soldier GP, you've been here already. Aaron Blaze, you heard the numbers. D'Angelo LaFlame, I'm sure you can find Michigan. Jake Matthews, you're out there. You're the NAW champion. Gabe Sayers, come on down. Who am I missing? Anybody else out there? Kodak Kid, James Marshall, D Savage, Power Surge, Chase Wakefield, you retired, not retired, Ace Christian, you want to
Yeah,
come
we
down to
did.
Michigan?
Wait, I think I did technically retire him, didn't I? Was that his last match?
Who knows? I mean, who knows really? Who knows? But the point is that you're out there, Brandon Castelli, Mr. Judgment. You want to come on down? You want to see the best? You're champion for 400 days. Come to Michigan. Come, Aaron Jones. You want to have the face-off with Jack Delta? No, I think we want to see the face-off. I don't know if you want to see it, but if you want to test your skills, you want to see you're the best, you want to see you're a big boy, you're a boss man, the real boss man, one-man revolution, come on to Michigan. Michigan's now in a new era. Michigan's now where people need to test their skills. Michigan's where the 7-star superstars play. Michigan is where you want to be the best. You want to really have wrestling skills shown. You want to really go out there and say, you know what? There ain't no more fun and games anymore. This ain't welcome to the jungle. This ain't politics. This ain't the same old matches, the same old storyline, intellectually dishonest, fooling and deceiving the people. No, it's different here now in ROEW. It's a new sheriff. It's a new sheriff in town. It's a nemesis, a tyrant king that's in this town. And it's led by irony of all people, the irony of all people, the man that has made his name as the traveling greatest backyard underground wrestler of all time. We're in the outsider era now, the new era. Mr. ROEW, Mr. Weekend Warfare himself, Jack Delta.
God damn, Tom. Real quick, I gotta mention this. What's the longest Sportswire you've done? Because
I've
we're
been on 3 hours. I've done over three.
couple 3 hours. Because I was gonna say we're like
we're getting close to. We're gonna get close to the end. I can assure you. Let me
not that I wanted to stop. I've enjoyed everything that we've done.
Well, I mean, if you're enjoying, the people seem to enjoy it. But Cobra Dragon said you versus D'Angelo or GX or JX will give us all applause, and I think we will wonder. See, there you go. I see somebody knows what I'm saying. Darkron wants to come here, and that's the mission. Trying to get attention. See what I mean?
Yeah.
But what the point is tonight is that, and we see Jack Delta is officially in the Hall of Fame as the 74th member, kind of like how Barry Bonds had 73 home runs. Jack Delta is the 74th. He's broke the record as the greatest backyard underground wrestling Hall of Famer. But the point is that this is where a new era is dawning. This is where, you know what, we talked about yesterday's news. Those that were obviously on the Isle of Irrelevancy in different states, in different places, that, you know what, missed the boat, dropped the ball, fumbled. Obviously, coulda, woulda, shoulda. The past is the past. Can't change it. But I got Michigan right in front of me. And Michigan seems like, you know what? Just like the Lions in football this year had a special season, had some magic, seems to me like ROEW has got their own magic going for them right now with James Taylor and Jack Delta. It looks like to me we're in another era of McMahon and Stone Cold. They ran roughshod in the wrestling world. They changed the face of wrestling as we know it, ushered in a new era. Seems to me like tonight, James Taylor and Jack Delta are ushering in a new era, not only for backyard and underground wrestling, but also for ROEW.
And I can't wait to see what the future holds for this, because it's been such a long while that I really don't know what the future holds for this title reign. I don't know who's actually going to be coming through that curtain, because spoiler, I don't know who's coming out. There's talks here and there of people.
I believe that in ROEW. ROEW, it's, you know what, in ROEW, we don't do things like in other states. We don't run the same people, the same matches, and try to really intellectually fool you and be dishonest. No, in ROEW, like in places like IMF, like in NEW, like in certain places where, you know what, yeah, there might be some things that go on, but or TBW to an extent. And I think that in ROEW, we get it. We get it. We get it here. It's a new era. It's a new sheriff. It's a new nemesis in town. It's a tyrant king with an outsider. And I think that's what people want. Resurrection Wrestling does well at it. AWL has done well with it, but they have different visions. But the point is, ROEW has a new vision. They have a new vision in that they are doing things an outsider type of way. The same old games, same old stuff. It's over. It's all over here. You want to come and get away from that? You want to come and get away from, places in different states that Jack Delta wrestled in and, missed the ball and fumbled. Come on down. ROEW's got the best ring around. ROEW's got the best editing. Well, some of the best editing. I know Mr. Titan would kill me for that. But ROEW's got some of the best opening music. ROEW's got the 7-star superstars. ROEW's got the guys that have tested their skills in all the best places. So come on down and watch ROEW Backyard Wrestling. And that's what people should tune into.
I hope so, too. I want to mention, too, a few extra people because there were a few missing from the lineup. And I don't know if this one's possible because of, stuff that's been going on. But Justin Parsley, I don't know if you're in the chat.
Justin Parsley, love Justin Parsley.
Love Justin Parsley. Please figure it out. Please.
I love Justin Parsley. I love guys like Hunter Halkin and XCW. Hunter Halkin is a fantastic I love Miano Diaz. Miano Diaz is a great talent. I think Miano Diaz is a guy that's got, he's only not even peaking yet. There's a lot of guys in XCW that are great. I would give recognition to guys like in Resurrection Wrestling, Drake Golddragon, Dustin Alexander, King Rage. Rage wrestled the Shade. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, and there's some great talents out there. I mean, there's only so many people out there, but there's absolutely great names that, people should go and find out and tune into. Before I get to closing thoughts, obviously I presented the thing. I have to play this video just because it's it's the iconic moment. I have to do it because it's been on my mind and I want to ask you about it. And it's, what I'm talking about. It's you and the Shade, the man himself, obviously seeing this and just seeing you guys and
on the same stage as the two of us in the prime time and the bright lights, Paymaker, and we're on the road to anniversary 6, which reminds me, that's my time of the year. You can't have an anniversary event without Mr. Anniversary. You can't have it. So we proved that the Atomic Twerp, the American Dragon, the American Disappointment couldn't hang in the world title picture or the U.S. title picture. So now, what is next? Who is next? Any more victims? Roslyn!
Oh my God!
Mr. Shade, Mr. Undisputed Champion. Well, if it isn't Jack Delta, Paymaker.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. It hasn't, Paymaker.
I must say, Paymaker, he's a little smaller in person.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, what about it?
I just came to say, got a lot of gold going around.
Yeah, right? We do. We're creating history around here. It's a totalitarian takeover. Everybody who's been stepped in front of us has either been blacked out or laughed. And that's me ripping your face off and successfully retaining the World Heavyweight Championship as I always do.
I want you to understand, all right, that I'm not scared of all of this, all right? I came here to CBW like I do all across America because I want one thing. Honestly, it's not this, and it's not this. It's this. Because I could say from the bottom of my heart that there aren't that many people that I have left in the backyard that I have to face. And this man, for God knows how long, has been making a name for himself. But I make my name off of people making their names. So Beast, whenever you're ready for it, live chat, I know you're watching. Whenever you want this, just give me the go ahead. You don't even have to put these online.
And you know what? We won't. Because we don't have to. Because the Paymaker and myself, unlike you, we're not an indie yarder. We're exclusive. We're the main act around here. And all of the Southern East, the Paymaker and the Shade reign supreme. And that's something that you'll come to realize when you step in the ring with the TBW Undisputed World Champion. You know, Mr. Delta, confident words, Mr. Delta. I applaud you for that. But like that little song of yours says, leave no man standing. Well, the only man that's going to be standing if this match ever happens is this man. Bottom line. So lace them up, Delta. Big time. You're going to meet the big time. But of course it won't be tonight because we're busy. So come on, Paymaker. Let's get out of here. We got a main event to watch.
And Josh Ross, it will be a monumental matchup.
Exactly, Carl. Could you imagine Dudley versus Ennis being champion of the Shade?
And speaking of the champions, will be
God. Watching that back, that actually was like pretty entertaining.
But at least they acknowledge, but see, they got it. They got it. They said monumental, and there was the moment just to have the 2 minutes of you and him on that screen. That's what it meant.
No, it meant that. And see, and that's the terrible thing is like a lot of the stuff that was said in that was very, very, very true. I really like when I came.
Yes, that's what it felt.
Yeah,
I felt
when I came down to TBW, I didn't care about winning the TBW World Championship or the TBW United States Champion. I cared about having that match, man. I really.
You were the only man that understood what he went through. There's nobody that's been on this platform that can ever understand what the Shade went through. I'd even dare say that professional wrestlers I've had on here, with the exception of maybe R.P. Davis, who was the only person in the entire country of Britain to be a major boxing and wrestling world champion, could have understood what the Shade went through. You're the only other man that could have understood the stress and the pressure that he went through being the man. You were the man, the traveling one. He was the one that stayed in one promotion. You understood that. And that moment, that's why it meant what it did. Even though we never saw the match, maybe we'll never see it. Who knows? But at least we can go back in time, and that's how I'm going to remember you, Jack Delta, and Ledger Shade. Not going to remember what I saw in North Carolina. Not going to remember what I saw in Indiana. I'm going to remember that moment. And maybe I'm biased. I might be. Go at me for it. But that's the moment that I want fans of yours and fans of his to remember, because the sad irony of that is that both of you guys didn't have many more moments in Tennessee, but at least I have that to remember. And the people that are here on this platform remember that as well. And at least that's something where at least they recognize that. Just seeing the moment, hearing the commentary told me that at least they got it.
They understood it. You're right. You're right. And it's just so unfortunate given the situation with how all of that ended up working out with Ledger and the TBW crew in Tennessee and all of that, because it's going to remain probably the biggest what if.
I compared it to the Ultimate Warrior when I announced him the first time he was coming on. We'll never know. This was a man that he had it all. He was on the top, just like you. You had it all. You did everything.
Yeah, because it sucks. Because it's like I understand his history. I understand like me going down there at the point that I did. It wasn't like he was like 50 days into his title reign and like he hadn't done his stuff.
400 plus.
He was 400 plus. He had been undefeated for such a long time. And not that TBW doesn't have like people that come in, you know what I mean? But like a Dustin Alexander or like a Drake Gold Dragon or, you know, like any of those guys coming in that
Roddy Alpha, Cameron Page.
Yeah, like those guys are cool, right? They have their own credence, but like me coming in and people knowing that I went to ESW and I won a title in my debut.
They knew that and they got it. They got it. They got it. And we had you and him there. And that was it. The fleeting moment in time. It just, but at least we had it.
Yeah.
At least we had it.
It was a very emotional night.
It's been an emotional last 3 days as we're here with Jack Delta, of course, who's now in the new era, the outsider era. And we're getting ready to close soon here because I don't know how much more my heart can take the last 3 days. But literally, this has been an important last 3 days. Jack Delta's right on one thing, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if we'll ever top this. I have Isaiah Rage tomorrow from IMF. I'm going to try to top it. I know the IMF boys will be here. They'll certainly do a great job. We'll have fun. We have Jake Howell Wednesday. That'll be interesting for another promotion in Tennessee. But who knows? Who knows what'll happen there? But it's been 3 days, and I hope people take away from this that this was special. Ledger Shade did something that he spoke to his fans. He spoke to the community. And he'll remember it for a lifetime. James Taylor, is back in power, and Jack Delta topped it off. They say everything comes in threes. This has been the threes that people will remember forever. And think about that. And you're here tonight, and it's been an absolute honor. And before I get to a few final thoughts, what do you want to say to anybody else out there? Anything that else you'd like to address? Obviously, LaFlame, you've addressed. I think you've addressed, certainly Titan, James Taylor. Maybe he may come on for 2 minutes as owner of RLBW. We'll see. It's your call. But I think ultimately, CJ Black, I think we've kind of talked about. We'll still see you there. JX has been mentioned. We talked about some stuff. But what else would you like to address tonight?
I will say, as long as I don't manage to magically fuck it up and lose the title, I will issue a rematch at some point to Jacob Collins for all of the stuff that happened to him. I feel like he at least deserves a shot after all of the stuff that happens, because I won the title, but it was under the most strenuous, chaotic circumstances of all time.
It's very rare in wrestling history to have had what we saw. Very rare.
6 men had the opportunity to do it, and I somehow managed to do it. Firstly, I wanted to say, closing thoughts wise, I know we'll let James Taylor in here, and he'll say all of his.
We're going to keep it very short because my chest actually hurts. I think
your next intro is going to be it. It's going to be the one.
You know what? Somebody did tell me the other day. You ever think about getting? I actually know it's funny. I actually said last week on the show that I want to be like. Remember when Ric Flair said he wanted to die in a wrestling ring or get a heart attack? I feel like I'm going down that road. So at least
no, it's going to be and then it's just you're gone. But no, closing thoughts. I want to say, firstly, because I know I got a lot of social media interaction from sharing the Sportswire radio around.
Yeah, I mean,
this
the
time
last
more
days,
than the
I
others.
feel like everybody's been just. I want to thank Justin Parsley, truly one of my favorite people, who's going to be our first 3-time Hall of Fame. I wish more people were like Justin Parsley. He's just one of the most genuine people. He is just. I can't say enough good things about Justin Parsley.
I love me some Parsley, man, and that's the thing, is just I've developed so many of these relationships with all of these people. It's so hard to give the time back to the people that I feel like they deserve it. And that's why I'm such a terrible texter, because I just get overwhelmed with all of these.
If it makes you feel better, I'm not a phone talker. I have 5,000 phone numbers in my phone. Guys call me. I mean, I'll talk on Facebook, I'll message, but I just don't really talk that much on the phone.
No, I don't either. When people call me, it's kind of a scary thing. And I don't know. The thing that I want to close out from my perspective on everything is genuinely from the bottom of my heart. It's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, list all the other 10,000 ones that I happen to have. I know so many people, and so many people, regardless whether they love me, they hate me, they share my stuff, they don't share my stuff, they bring it up to me in person, even if they don't like it, on the social media. So I don't know if they've seen it. People follow my story, and they appreciate what I do, and it's so hard to articulate how much support like that means to me, because at no point in my life did I ever think I'd be a minor internet niche celebrity, because I get people that, you know what I mean, people message me all the time for advice. They send me memes like I'm their best friend. It is just incredible the amount of outreach and support I get from all of these people. And most people I haven't even fucking met. It's just crazy. So
you're a special guy. You're a special young man. Even one of my big supporters, Luke Leyland, knows who you are.
I wanted to shout him out. He has been supporting me so much. I love Luke Leyland.
He's really, honestly, he was probably been my biggest champion I've ever had. He is just this man.
He's historic. He did the Dambe as
he's a legend. No, he's my biggest viewed interview on YouTube. He really you opened some doors, but he opened a lot of doors. He gave me a lot of and Paige Palazzolo, of course, the United States women's amputee soccer coach. I mean, everybody wants to date her, but I interviewed her. I mean, I take the interview instead of the date. But she came on the platform and came on with us, and she even comes in the chat sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing here, coach? But Yeah,
Oh, but
Lucas,
it's that sense of community.
she likes coming on, she likes it.
She's not there for Sportswire. She's
No.
there for Tom Bryce, and that's what's
Yeah.
so magical.
People are like that. People are like that, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I do want to give him 2 minutes, and I want to let you say your final thoughts. James Taylor has something he wants to say about ROEW, and I'm going to let him do because he's the owner, and then I'm going to take him off and let you say your final thoughts.
Okay.
James Taylor.
Oh boy. Oh God. Don't fucker me, boss.
You're good, man. You're good. Congratulations again. I didn't get to properly congratulate you in person,
How
even
you
though
doing?
this is over a camera. But congratulations nonetheless on becoming the new ROEW World's Heavyweight Champion, because you greatly deserve it. I'm here to run a company and show the world how a company is supposed to be ran. I mean, I bought the company. I could have just flew up there and made myself champion, but I'm not that type of company. I'm not like a lot of these guys. I'm here to show true talent, true excitement in a new era. And you, of all people, can bring us into that era. You were given a challenge, you overcame that challenge, and now you are the world champion. I expect you to do big things in this company. I am going to be watching from afar, but I'm always going to be watching. So I thank you. Bygones be bygones, whether you believe it or not. Personality, all that shit back in the day, it is what it is. I was going through stuff in my life, but I've turned a new leaf, and I'm here to just move on and make everything as good as I can, because I'm an entertainer just like you, Jack. I love this business more than anything. I don't have a whole shitload of matches underneath my belt. No, I don't. But I do like, and I wanted to say that about earlier, I do like quality. Like you said, that you have a perfect thing when it comes to that. I am a perfectionist when it comes to getting in the ring, and it wasn't against you in our match that I was really upset. I was upset at the bookers because it was slapped together. And I know deep down, I think, I mean, I took care of you. I didn't hurt you. I don't believe in that match. You didn't hurt me. You took care of me, and that I respect you for. But I really think we could have had a banger. Who's to say if we were to never ever have another one? But nonetheless, Jack, thank you for doing what you do. I respect you, whether you respect me or not. That's up to you. I'm not gonna fire you or nothing like that, or write you up, send you to HR. I promise. I won't take your vacation time away and all that pension. But
Thank God. I didn't have any vacation time under Jason Storm. In fact, he took mine and gave it to himself and Big Man Cam.
That's because Jason Storm's a big piece of crap. I'd like to see him again, come back, but nobody's seen him since he sold it to me. I guess he's scared, he's intimidated. I don't know. I don't care. The fact is that I'm going to run this company the way it needs to be ran, because there's other companies out there that don't know what in the hell they're doing. There's some that know exactly what the hell they're doing, like ESW, great company that you went to. Mm-hmm. I had an interview with Austin G on my platform. I don't know if you saw that a couple of months ago.
I did, actually. I did.
Great guy. I respect him. He respects me. That they know what they're doing. They are in their own little bubble. But there's other companies that are so egotistical, they recycle the same four bastards over and over again, and they lose people. They lose people that are very important to the business. I think I
said that for an hour in a row straight, James.
Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to clear the air. If I could shake your hand right now, I would. I want to say off when I first met Jack Delta,
ooh, I want to hear
I'll
this.
give him the fact that when I showed up, he walked right, he beelined to me. I didn't expect that. And he came, so out of respect, he shook my hand, I shook his hand. And I of course, I wanted to work with him. I've been wanting to work with him. And I think he wanted to work with me a little bit. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I respect you. I hope you continue to kick ass and do what you do best. And
so cool.
Don't let me down.
I won't.
I don't think you will. We're in a new era. We're in a new era now. We're in an outsider era. We're in a Tyrant King era with a nemesis in between, because it's got two names, but that's the era we're in right now. It's a new era.
Stay tuned throughout the week. I'll have a few announcements coming up for some upcoming matches. As far as your match with JX, I look forward to seeing that, especially if he answers the challenge, Delta. So hopefully he will, and we'll see. But I'll be going over with my board of directors, and we'll see what else happens. So get ready for that.
No, I thank you for that, boss.
All right.
I hope to continue to see you on on screens and stuff.
Oh,
I'll
you're
take
gonna
it,
see
I'll
it
take it
with
easy
I
on you
did.
now.
I basically said we're like neighbors, but you know the lock. You just come in the door.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me
You are
on.
very special to me. Jay, I'll let you go in a minute. I want to let Jack finish, but you are very special to me. I want to say that you are a very special person, and I want people to know that you mean a lot to Sportswire. And in many ways, you are a wingman, and I really think that, you can do whatever you want on this platform. Well, you have more followers than me, but I think I might have more phone numbers in my phone in the real world than you, but I might have more bucks than you, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. At the end of the day, you're always welcome here, and I thank you for all that you've done for this sport. And I can't wait to see you on probably this week.
Tomorrow
At the end of the day, as
Probably
much as it
Thursday.
might be annoying,
You
I'm
know
a
what? I
business
have a
man.
feeling I probably will see you Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know why.
What's happening Wednesday and Thursday?
Jake Howell, and then Thursday is Nicholas Crenson and Craven Rage. I am sure that
you're seeing them both nights.
that's why I know Craven Rage and Nicholas Crenson is going to be here, because people are going to be like, I can see it right now. The IMF guys are going to be fed up. I can see Jovi being in for the first 30 minutes. I see Craven Rage is going to do a promo. It's going to probably come across like somebody fumbling a football near the 2-yard line, and then it's going to be like Nicholas Crenson talking, and people are going to be like, okay, let's get into it. Jay Cal, yeah, I'd probably say you'll be here Wednesday, because I'm probably going to open my mouth and talk about you. And then it's going to be like, can I come on? I'm going to say yes. So, yeah, I would say Tuesday with tomorrow or today with Isaiah Rage, but I have no idea what to expect in this one. Although I don't even know if he's coming on still, but I think he is. I'm sure after this, he's definitely coming on, because he did actually mention coming on. So, yeah, you'll probably be on here this week a few times. And people will be like, is James Taylor on again? Is he stealing Sportswire spotlight? I'm going to say, hell yeah. But all right, James, I'm going to let you go. I'll see you later.
All right.
Okay, that was James Taylor here to talk about, obviously, that. And, that was kind of that. And I don't know if there's anything else more I can say, Jack. I think your time has been exceeded. You've done far more than we could have expected, anticipated. You are obviously awesome, and I can't thank you enough for everything you've done on this sport. Honestly, words can't do you enough in terms of what you've meant to this sport. It's an honor to have worn your shirt in one company, to have another promotion coming up. It's an honor to have watched you, and I know whatever you'll do, it'll be great. I can't wait to watch you, most importantly, home in the great state of Michigan. I know there's many people I might have left out, but you think you're mentioned. I'm sure I say thank you and you're welcome. But the point is that you are somebody that really is on the Mount Rushmore, and I hope that one day I meet you. I don't know if I will, but I do know that regardless, you're welcome anytime here. And just thank you for all that you've done for this sport. Thank you for being a true person who does it for the love of this sport. And I'm turning it over to you now. I'm giving you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, the floor is yours.
Honestly, the only thing I can really say, because I feel like I've called everybody out, I've said everything I've needed to say tonight. The only thing I can really say that I have left is just, Tom, thank you for everything that you do. I know you get big thanks all the time, but I can't articulate in words how much you doing this is establishing its own community and a place for people to be happy and a place for people to express themselves, because that has been sorely lacking since my main company shut down.
You talked about that. You've talked about that in prior interviews.
And I don't know. You're the best, Tom. We all love
I
you.
don't know about that. I'm sure some people will have a different opinions of that, but it's never
they do
personal.
now. They do now.
Well, I want to say, speaking of VTW, yes, I say hello, D-Lock, and congrats on the achievement. I wish I could have got to meet you, but hopefully down the road. Yeah, I would definitely. I wish it would have been different, D-Lock and VTW. I really just, to me, Jack, it should have been different. I think that's, to me, I love VTW. I love the product, but I just wish, to me, that it was different. I just think that what I saw in Tennessee is what I should have saw in North Carolina. I saw Jack Delta and Legislate on the screen, and I wanted Aaron Jones and Jack Delta to have a moment. And that's my opinion. It doesn't mean it's a knock on the people personally. My gripe with North Carolina is far different than my gripe in Indiana.
Yeah,
my gripe in North Carolina, North Carolina is they're great guys. I don't think it's that. It's just, agree to disagree. I think that's my difference. My difference is agree to disagree. And I think that I just wish that it would have been what it was.
Yeah, no, the VTW thing will always go down as like an interesting thing simply because even the matches I did have, they weren't the most optimal because I never publicly announced it, but
I didn't feel it. I just didn't. I tried. I didn't feel it. When you were in TBW last year and PWF, I was into it. ROEW, that goes without being said. Other places I watched you, I was into it. And I was expecting to be into this in North Carolina. Because again, a lot of the guys in VTW, I've gotten to know them. And I didn't get that oomph. It was like you came up to bat, I was expecting a home run, and you never got a pitch. That's my problem.
that's an interesting way of putting that.
I tried out to be for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when I was in college. People now figured I might be close to being a millionaire, but I tried out for it. I remember my mother saying, take the test. I went down to ABC Studios, and I'm quick on my feet. And, maybe D-Lock versus Jack Delta down the road. Well, maybe, but you know what? It better be. I'll tell you what. If it happens, it should happen in ROEW. I'd love to see D-Lock and Jack Delta in ROEW in Michigan. In Michigan, where it could be the main event. Where in Michigan, the commentary will be Jack Delta being now the greatest world heavyweight champion of all time. No longer the greatest traveling backyard and underground wrestler of all time. The greatest world heavyweight champion, who is now Mr. ROEW, Mr. Weekend Warfare himself, and now the outsider, Jack Delta.
God, those are that's fantastic. Tom, I don't even know how to wrap this up.
Well, I'm going to do it for you because Jack Delta, we can watch you coming up on YouTube at ROEW Backyard Wrestling. We can watch you in other places. He's wrestled. Just put him up there on YouTube. Search Jack Delta. He is the reigning defending ROEW champion. He has promised to be the greatest champion of all time. He has promised that he is going to keep that championship. And if he doesn't, he won't be here. But I have a feeling that we're going to be living in the new era, the outsider era, the era of Jack Delta, an era that's led by a Tyrant King and a Nemesis. And it's going to be the best coming to ROEW, where now the big boys play with the heavy hitters. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We were joined here by the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, now the official greatest traveling backyard wrestler of all time, and also our new ROEW champion, our 74th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regular programming, probably Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer jingles. If you're on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, I'll see you, I think, at 10 o'clock Eastern time for Isaiah Rage, and I'm sure he'll be the Rage. But actually, he'll be fun. He's actually a really funny guy, and he's actually got some stories to tell. He's going to talk a lot of IMF, and I'm looking forward to that because it's been a while since I spoke about them, but we'll see. Maybe James Taylor will be here. After all, maybe I'll bring him on Tuesday. He'll be here because he'll be here.
Yeah,
but Jack Delta, thank you for all that you've done for this sport. You are an amazing individual, and I'm so glad you're home where you belong in the main event. Thank you, everybody, for your support over the past 5 years. Thank you for making this the greatest 3 days in Sportswire Radio history and maybe 3 of the greatest days in backyard and underground wrestling history that we will remember for a lifetime. I will see you tomorrow. Be there or be square, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global station that is Sportswire Radio, where figuratively and literally now